In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Arbor Digital, the forefront of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and wealth management, providing a low-cost, research-based investment strategy for Alaskans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Visit acminc.com today to put your money to work.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
The Connoisseur Lounge, Alaska's premier locally owned and operated cannabis retailer, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. Their cultivated products include Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and much more. Find them at theconnoisseurlounge.net.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and over. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They're the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Anchortown Dogs, located on 4th Avenue across from the old 4th Avenue Theater. Look for the blue and gold umbrella. From reindeer dogs to bomb euros, they've got you covered. Anchortown Dogs, your local gourmet hot dog and sausage cart.
Crude Magazine, Alaska-based media outlet using the last frontier as a springboard to discover larger truths about the cultures of our great state. Read more at crudemag.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include snow and ice management, weekly lawn care, and more. Get your free estimate today at lawnproak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
Lady with a Plan, your own Alaska event planner. From scouting the perfect location to planning the tiniest details, specializing in event management and production for intimate social gatherings. Find Lady with a Plan on Instagram. I guess it could be a two-part question. It could be like, when was the last time you skied? When was the last time you skied without pain?
Yeah, thank God for Celebrex is all I got to say. It was at least 2014, maybe?
Yeah.
2000, what is it?
Celebrex? What's that, an injection?
I wish they could give it to you in injection form. It's a pill. It's like an ibuprofen. It's like a Cadillac of ibuprofen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's
I
good.
say that I
it's
just
good
got
stuff.
an injection in my knee. I got a bad knee.
I believe it.
I need a knee replacement from jumping eagle. I used to love to do that, dude.
Yeah.
I used to just like
Annihilate
Wow.
your joints.
just annihilate the
I
joint.
never jumped it, but
Yeah.
I sure as hell sat on the chairlift and watched people do it.
What's the drop distance? Like what is
It's like 40, 50 feet.
Holy fuck! That's
if you
really?
if you pointed off
me and
the
Bootsy were in a
top-
huge cliffs, dude. That's
Is that how Boots destroyed his hip?
yeah, that's
His hip
exactly
is like to
probably
this
why.
day is like
That's probably exactly
he
why.
has to sleep with a pillow weird and like his hips like
Yeah.
It doesn't have a good landing. Like the landing
flat.
is like a 12-degree grade probably.
Yep.
so if
So
you don't
it-
hit it right, man, you're
Well, no, like no matter what, you're landing hard.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just
Fit-
no.
fit- Are you guys sure 50 feet?
It's pretty.
If you
It's
pointed off the front, like the top, full speed.
But you could hit it off the sides and stuff
Yeah,
too.
and
There's
then you're
a
like
little small-
10 feet,
I mean,
20
that's a
feet.
long.
I don't think I ever
drop,
really
dude.
paid attention to it. You know,
It probably looks like 50 feet when you're on the top looking down. It's
When you're
probably
16,
like,
everything looks
Yeah.
big, right?
huge. Yeah.
So,
Well, you don't stop at the top and look down, and then you're not going to hit it.
Like
yeah, you
change
kind
my
of got to arc out, if I
Yeah.
recall. You know,
Lolo's at the beginning, early in the year before the snow gets too heavy. It's pretty big too. Lolo's is.
I forget all the names.
I miss
There was
all
a
that,
few,
man.
There was another one that was
Horseshoe.
right below that midway or above midway. Those cliffs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'd always hit those too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you got to do now, right, Glenn? To
What's
get your
that?
fix. Alpenglow, they got the tube
Oh,
thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, there you go. That's our style
No.
now.
Well, no, I mean because you can go right into the chalet and get a beer.
can I get
Does it slides you
Can
right
I get
into
a
there?
massage at the same time? A beer and a massage, please.
and a Cinex, or what did you call it? What was the
A
Cadillac?
session? Oh,
You know, the Cadillac might be.
Oh, Celebrex.
yeah,
Can I get a beer and a Celebrex?
I need 2
Back massage?
Celebrex, 200 milligram Celebrex, and a shot of Jim Beam, please. Yeah, man.
that's funny. Welcome to Alaska Wild Project, episode 67. We have Glen Allen Trombley here. Thanks for coming in, Glenn.
Thanks for having me, man.
Alan.
Glen Allen. Yeah, don't be scared of Glen Allen.
That's right.
Epic name. Epic Alaskan
Yeah,
name.
That is
that
cool.
is a good name.
My old man was on a caribou hunt, 60. Well, I was born in 68, so he was on a winter caribou hunt. He was military at the Elmendorf, you know, and my mom went into 6 kids, you know. It was like, all right, another one's coming. I'm going hunting, and you know, no plans, no name picked. They didn't know what. Back in the day, nobody went into the office like 6 weeks in and said, okay, you're gonna have a boy or girl. I just found out when I showed up, you know. They found out, but I came back and they're like, well, mom had just given birth. My dad's like, oh, great, we have a name for it. My sister's like, we haven't picked a name yet. He goes, well, I just got back from Glen Allen. My sister's like, call him Glen Allen. All right. So here I am. It stuck.
No way. Are you not? Are you
I'm
serious?
dead. I'll show you my
that is-
driver's license.
dude.
Try pulling into the Chevron
Oh, my
station in
God.
Glen Allen in the fall during hunting season or something like that and say, hey, I'll tell you, would you believe it if I told you my name was Glen Allen?
Oh,
and they're
my
like, oh, I
God.
don't believe it. I said, Glen Allen Trombley. I go, damn it.
When Galen hears this, he's just gonna be just
yeah.
rolling, dude.
He's going to be like, what's that guy's number? The dipshit. I need to meet him.
Right now.
We had a buddy on who grew up in Glen Allen,
Half the time.
and he's just a super funny guy,
Right
cool
on.
guy. And the last thing at the end of the podcast, he's like, whatever you do, don't be scared of Glen Allen.
It's probably a lot like Talkeetna, but on the other side of the state, you know, the driver system,
yeah,
That's right.
the road system, yeah.
that's funny.
That's cool.
Glenn is the captain of the dip ship, and I got to give you props on that name, man. That is awesome. And you know, the first question I had was, the dip ship is like the kind of boat you mostly see like on Big Lake and stuff like that. It's like
Yeah.
a houseboat, right?
It's a 28-foot pontoon boat. Yeah.
Pontoon boat, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there many more of those out there doing that? Or are you
No.
the first guy that
That's like the only one.
Okay.
I am. Yeah, I'm so it's a long story, but I really got to give my daughter props because I knew what I was doing when I built the boat and I came up with the idea of doing the dipnet charter with a pontoon boat. But for 6 months, I'm writing names down of what I was going to call the boat. I didn't know. My daughter's on her freshman year of college. And she comes home at Christmas time. And I'm like, honey, listen, I just want you to think about this for a little while, but I'm trying to come up with a name for the boat. She's like, what about the dip ship?
just
I looked at my wife. I'm like, first year of college, first semester, just paid off right there. Yahtzee. And it stuck, man. And yeah, so it's a totally customized 28-foot pontoon boat. And this is the God honest truth. When I was growing up, we had a cabin on Big Lake. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, it was nothing but ski boats. and vessels that were like used for pulling people behind on skis and boogie boards and whatever else. I had no idea. I've lived here my entire life. I had no idea that pontoon boats were even a thing out of Big Lake, because I hadn't been there in like 20 years, right?
Right.
They're huge now there.
Oh, they're everywhere.
That's all you see there now. Yeah.
So, but the funny part about all this is that I drove all the way to Nebraska with my truck. I went down to do a sportsman show in Fargo, North Dakota, and I'm looking on. I'll back up a second. So my buddy of mine from college sent me a video clip of a pontoon boat with 3 Yamaha 350s going about 125 miles an hour across the bay in Florida. No kidding. Yeah. And I'm like, that is crazy. And it's just floating. It's like 2 or 4 foot seas just floating across. I mean, the pontoons were barely touching the water. And I'm like, that would be perfect for dip netting off of. It's so stable.
Yeah.
So I started looking around, and I knew I was going down to North Dakota for a sports show, and I was driving that year. And I told my wife, I'm gonna start looking for a pontoon boat. I'll turn that into the dip ship.
Yeah.
So I found this dude. I'm not kidding you. It was a farmer in Nebraska, and I had some hunting clients that lived in Sioux Falls area, and I found this guy, and he had this 1979 pontoon boat sitting on his farm. And the deck and the material, all the furniture and stuff was rotten.
From just sitting in the sun?
Yeah, for forever, you know.
Yep.
Been sitting for like 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And I contacted him. He was selling it as a party barge for $2,500. And he wouldn't negotiate on the price, which was kind of frustrating for me. I'm like, cut me a deal, dude. I'm coming all the way from Alaska. He's like, nope, $2,500. I'm like, all right. I said, well, you take $1,000 to hold it until I get down there in March. He's like, where were you coming from? I said, I'm coming from Alaska. He goes, you're going to tow this all the way back to Alaska? I'm like, yeah. So I sent him $1,000. And then I started looking for a trailer because he didn't have a trailer. It was just sitting on the ground.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Pushed it off of the loader or something.
Well, he had 2 tractors, and long story short, I bought a trailer, drove down, did the show. My wife flew down, met me. We loaded up this damn thing on the trailer. I got pictures and everything, man, the whole history of it. And I towed it back to Fargo, and then I stripped it of everything. I took the deck off, the furniture. I threw all the crap away. And then I'm like, I got to make some money to pay for this trip, right? Mm-hmm. So I found a jet boat for sale in Minnesota, and I called a buddy of mine in Fairbanks. I'm like, hey, you weren't looking for a new boat, right? He goes, yeah. I'm like, I found this really good deal on a jet boat. Are you interested? And I sent him pictures. He's like, yeah, I'll take it. So I went over to Minnesota. I bought this jet boat for like $15,000, brought it over to Fargo, took the wheels off the axles, and I lifted the
garage door downstairs there.
The gods are shaking the building.
Something's coming in from above.
That's crazy. But I bought this jet boat, and I basically forklifted the jet boat with the trailer on top the deck of the pontoon boat, strapped it all down, shrink wrapped it, and I towed it back to Chugiak.
All right.
And then I got
the boat on top of a boat.
The boat on top of the boat.
Boats on boats.
Boats on boats, man. Boat's gone wild. That's what it was. It was crazy.
Man, what is this guy got going on?
Oh, people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, man, brother's got to make $1. You know, figure out how to make it work." You know. So I got it back, and I totally just refurbished everything.
Yeah.
Built the deck, built the railings, put the canopy on there, built a console for it. I had a lot of help from a lot of great friends, welders, the whole 9 yards. I didn't do it all by myself, that's for sure. And my buddy Archie up in Fairbanks, he had a good friend that he was working with, and he's an aluminum welder. And Archie actually flew down and drove up with me 3,000 miles from Fargo. And while we're driving, we're talking about what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you know what you really need to do? He goes, when we reconstruct the deck, you need to design it so that you can get a wheelchair on board.
Oh, yeah.
And because all along I wanted to be able to. I came from a military family, but I never was in the military. One of the things I kind of regret. I wish I had joined the military, but I told Archie, I'm like, we need to figure out how we can get wheelchairs on board and people with prosthetics. and people that are immobile, older folks, because dip netting is not just waddling down to the beach.
Yeah.
It's not just, you're limited to access when you're dip netting. You either waddle to the beach or you climb down into a boat on the boat launch, and you pray to God that the guy that's running the boat is a safe captain, or the boat that you're fishing in is a vessel that can handle the toilet bowl at the end of the surf when you're fishing, and because you guys have all experienced it, right? At the end of the drift, it gets chaotic at low tide, -5 tide. It's like,
it's pretty tight. A lot of boats, rough.
Kayaks wouldn't float it.
No,
it's how crazy it is. You know what I mean? But we designed it. We talked about it, and I'm like, let's make this happen, man. So I totally rebuilt the boat. So that was literally a 24 by 8 foot deck on 28 foot pontoons, and I built the cleaning station. The idea was to provide full service for people. Fillet their fish, catch their fish, fillet their fish, navigate the river without any problems, and design it so that people could step off of the dock onto, not down into the boat.
Right.
And
we'll step over.
It's literally, depending on what dock I use, there's about a 2 to 4 inch drop, or not a drop, but a rise.
Nice.
And for my folks with wheelchairs, I just have a ramp.
Okay.
And I wheel them right on. And then I've got tie downs on the boat. So I have like it's called track, like a double stud fitting that you see on like a freight pallet for cargo.
Can adjust the tow hook,
Yep.
the tie down.
Yeah, exactly.
Just wherever you need to.
Adjust it for length or width or whether the wheelchair is.
Yep.
And I thought that was going to be a problem for a long time. I thought I was going to have to really be conscious of tying people down that were in wheelchairs until I actually started running the boat. And as long as your brakes on, they don't shift in rough water.
Yeah,
because the boat can just absorb it.
Yeah, it's like pontoons are designed differently than a regular hull.
Stable.
They stable, and they cut the wave. They don't split it. They literally cut it.
They don't pound, whap, whap, whap.
You never feel it
unless you spreads the load out.
Oh, totally.
On the water, right?
Totally. I mean, unless you get away from the side.
Oh,
if you get away from the side against
then
that
it's
pontoon,
like real hard. Yeah,
it is. So that's where, as a captain, I'm constantly monitoring that. I've got to constantly. As long as I just tow it in to a wave that's coming,
hit the angle, hit it at like a
exactly
kicked over.
Just tow it in, and you never feel it. So you can literally stand and fish the whole time, or you sit. And I've got coolers on board that people sit comfortably. And if I've got somebody that's really like super incapacitated, for whatever reason, whether he's got, he's amputated or has a prosthetic or whatever, or I've had folks on board with, like one arm. They're able to hold the net. They can sit right in front of the console, lean up against my console on a cooler. It's a comfortable cooler, the right height, and they're able to hold the net. And then I've got my son, who is he's my partner, Cody. Yeah, he's on board. He helps them pull the fish in. We don't catch the fish for them. We let them catch the fish. As long as they net it, we help them pull the net in, get the fish on board, and then we fillet the fish right there on the boat.
Yep.
Nice.
Process it basically.
You have vacuum sealer and stuff?
I do that, but I don't do that on the boat.
Okay.
I do provide vacuum sealing.
Yeah.
I got a commercial vacuum sealer, and so at the end of the day, if people want to, Alaskans, a lot of us are like, oh,
I got it.
I'll fillet my own fish and I'll vacuum seal until they get on the boat and they're like, shit, I got 50 fish. What's it going to cost me for you? What's it going to cost for you guys to vacuum seal? I was like, no problem. We got to take care of it. Yeah.
That's right.
So
it's funny how that
in
works.
a nutshell, we're Alaskans, we're hard headed, right? Everybody wants to be able to do everything on their own until they actually get there and like, I think I'll sit back and have a beer.
We're going to be out here until 3 in the morning.
Yeah. A little money.
Yeah. So
is it the only pontoon boat you've seen out there?
Yeah. I there's a standing $100 bet with my son. I keep telling him, I'm like, okay, season 6, we're gonna see another pontoon boat.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened.
Not yet.
No, and it's funny because I so many people, I won't lie, the first couple of seasons, people looked at me cross-eyed. Like
I was one of them.
Were you? I believe it.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
If it's okay to just be honest.
Please be honest.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
First I was like, that's a really good idea to charter for Reds.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't this guy finally did it? But then what dawned on me after the second year was how safe your boat looked.
Yeah.
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 So I kind of was like, man, just, people hanging over the rail and the whole thing. Because it's just dangerous.
Yeah.
A lot of room for error.
You know what? In normal circumstances, it certainly could be. But because of the stability of the boat,
Yeah.
and the railing's 33 inches tall.
Yeah, I've done drifts right with you.
Have you?
Yeah. And I'm like, man, that thing's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought in after season, and I saw you the next year.
Right on.
And I did a full fucking 9-hour day or something we did.
Yeah.
And
He's been looking on Craigslist, Nebraska.
Sioux Falls area, man. Apparently, there's a lot of pontoon boats down there. Who'd have thought?
Farmer Joe, where's your boat?
Right. So after you reach out to North Dakota, did you see any for sale here? And you're like, oh, I could have got one locally.
Well, so the
That's
funny
a good
part,
question, Jack.
That's a great question, because the funny part is, and this is no shit, I get it all built,
all this
right? I
time.
get the motor mounted, and the first 4 seasons I had a 115 Merc. Now I've got a
Just getting ready to
150
ask
Merc.
you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the Merc. I'm a Yamaha guy, and I
Yeah.
should have stayed a Yamaha
Yeah.
guy. But I will tell you, I'll give serious props to the guys at Bass Pro. Jeff Fowler, who's the lead mechanic and that runs the shop over there. Jeff's legit. He's busted his ass to make things work for me. The 115 was a little underpowered for the boat, but the 150 I got on there does good now. But if it wasn't for such great customer service, I'd be running a Yamaha
Yeah.
or a Suzuki.
Yeah.
But a Yamaha.
Mercury's good outboard.
Mercury's good outboard.
Yeah.
There's some nuances that are different, but across the board, man. Yeah, where were we going? You asked me a question.
If you saw any boats for sale up here?
Yeah.
After,
So the funny part is, I get the Merc on there, right? And I'm like, okay, trial run, honey, let's go. I loaded up my wife and my dog, and I think my son went with me. I can't remember. We towed up to Big Lake, and I launch it, and I'm not 40 yards off the launch, and I'm looking around, and there's a fucking pontoon boat over there. There's a pontoon boat over there. I'm surrounded by pontoon. I said to I'm in Berkshire Marina now. I'm like, there's pontoon boats everywhere.
Yeah.
Where in the hell did they come from? I always saw them parked in the Bass Pro Shop parking lot, but I didn't think anybody was buying them.
Yeah.
And I get up there, it's like every house on Big Lake has a freaking pontoon boat. I'm like, where's all the skis at? No, but where's all the big jet boats that were running around years ago? So yeah, I probably could have picked up a pontoon boat here locally, but it wouldn't be a Nebraska story if I didn't.
No, that wouldn't be nearly as cool. He was like, yeah, I found a guy in Willow. He had a pontoon boat. I picked it up and modified it real quick over the weekend, and here's the dip ship. No. Blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of extra effort.
God.
Probably a lot of extra money went into that, but
I
makes for a hell of a story and some character with the boat, right?
I think I saved some, but not much. I mean, because I saw a Craigslist ad a couple years ago, and guys maybe 2 or 3 years into, and this guy's got a pontoon boat for sale, and he's like, "Oh, you've seen this kind of pontoon boat, fishing, dip netting on the Kenai. This could be you $15,000 for this boat." I'm like, well, that's a hell of a lot more than what I paid for it. It's got furniture on it, and it's actual pontoon boat. It's not customized. And I don't have any carpet on my boat. It's plywood with a non-slick surface, and it's legit, man.
Yeah. What about the turning? My father-in-law had one. And it was the booze cruise, and it was just you know, Saturday night, Big Lake, we're going to cruise around and drink on the boat, because it's just like you said, it's really sturdy. It's not going to, your drink will stay there.
Yeah.
But I remember it just being slow and really long, wide turns, which, when you're on the Kenai, you got to be able to cut that thing, huh?
You do, and all I can tell you is that if I had never ridden, or if I had never run a boat before, if I had never had a captain's license, if I had never been familiar with running any kind of vessel, I would have been an absolute idiot to jump into this. But I'm 54 years old. I grew up on the Kenai River. My dad was there. He taught me how to run a boat years ago. And like anything else, you learn to use the water to your advantage. You know, the ebb and flow of the current, it drops and lowers as the tide comes in and goes out. So I guess where I'm going with this is if you're familiar with running a boat, any kind of vessel, and you're cognizant of your surroundings, running this boat is, I would not run another boat honestly to dip net, not just because of the stability, but because of the maneuverability. And I use forward and reverse a lot. I don't trim and tilt a whole lot, but I use forward, and I use that to my advantage, right? So when I had after this third season, I had a center pontoon built. It's a square pontoon that comes up to a lip, kind of like it's got its own little, it's got its own lift in the front. So it's like its own little boat, but it's all encapsulated air chamber, right?
Okay.
Which added like 2,400 pounds of buoyancy to this boat.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I mean, right now, the manufacturer said 3,200 pounds with the original 2 pontoons.
Yeah.
I just added 2,400. So if I literally take, and each of the pontoons have 3 chambers.
Okay.
So if I took on,
You blow one out, you're still floating, no
right,
problem.
I'm still floating. I might be listing a little bit, you know, but I'm still maneuverable. So with that being said, when I make turns and stuff like that, I use the inertia of the boat and the waves to help me turn. Like I'll be powering up at 4,900, 5,200 RPMs, right, upriver. And when I'm ready to curve in, with a regular boat, you just curve it right in, right? And whip yourself around. With this one, with the pontoon boat, I'll come off the throttle and I'll wait for that wave, even though I'm going upriver, I'll wait for that wave to push me, and then I'll just punch it again. I'll come off throttle and punch it again and move it in. And if it's a really low tide and the current's ripping, I'll actually come off, power it in, and then I'll spin the wheel and put it in reverse, and I'll just spin it back around.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'll nose it down. And then in my clients, I always tell people, I don't move the boat upriver until everybody's seated, you know, for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
And I don't let them stand until I'm ready to drop the nets in the water. So I tell them, I said, do not get up until I tell you to get up. So I'll make all those maneuvers and spin the boat around. I'll be facing back down river, and I'll say, okay, fish them, you know, and they'll stand up and put their nets out, or sit down and put the nets out. That way, the inertia of the boat is slowed down. The waves from coming back up river, if they're my waves, have settled a little bit, you know. And it took a little time, but not much. I figured it out pretty quick. And I think anybody would figure it out pretty quick. That's been running a boat for any amount of time.
It's just like a repetitive cycle.
Yes.
And it changes with the tide as it comes in and goes, but
It does.
it's very just like redundant. Like,
It does. And whether you cut left and go to the inside channel, or whether you
where the bar is.
where the bar is, or the buoy line, or whether I go all the way up and cut into the south bank, which is the mud line where all the birds are.
Yep.
You know, it'll dictate how I make that move, you know, with the boat. And I'll be honest with you. So, and this is something that my son and I do religiously. When we're going upriver, if I've got people following me right on my ass, I give them a hand signal, not the middle finger. But I give them a directional hand signal, like I'm riding my bike.
Yeah.
Oh, both of us will put our hands out.
Like we're gonna turn.
I'm letting you know I'm turning, and I'm looking back at them.
Yeah.
I don't just drive forward, that's a whole nother topic about how people run their boats. But if I'm cutting to the right, a lot of times zero.
I won't get you started just yet on that. We can talk about that in a minute. But
but I use hand signals a lot.
that's courteous of you.
Well,
half the people are probably like, "What the fuck is this guy even doing?"
Right?
Because they don't even know how to run a boat anyway. But they're probably like, "Oh wow, he's letting me know."
So you know what you know what I want to do? I want to put on lights.
Turn signals. Yeah, like the ones on that you can just attach from a trailer.
Awesome.
Flip it, and I've got a canopy right over the console.
Oh man,
You know,
LEDs.
just
You should have it be like LEDs that look like a dip net.
I'm serious.
The left ring lights up or the right
That's
ring
right.
lights up.
That's right, man. I'm serious. Matter of fact, now that you talk about it, I got a month left before the season starts. I just might incorporate that.
That'd
a good
be awesome,
idea.
man.
But I mean, people are like, okay, It's Friday night. I've got till Sunday to be home. I've got to catch my fish. It doesn't matter. I have to catch it. And whatever it takes, I'm going to fish from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. I'm going to fish. I'm going to fish hard. And when I'm done at the drift, it's fucking full power. Whoa, right to the top of the run again. Give a shit about people in their boats, whether you're in a 16-foot Lund or, a 28-foot, big monster North Ridge or something, or North River. People don't care, man. So it's just like etiquette is
doesn't really exist out there.
I bet you got
some, man.
Yeah, I bet you got a good story there on just some asshole shit that's going on out there.
Yeah, but it's
boat sinks every year, doesn't it?
Yeah. We've been involved in a couple of recoveries trying to.
Have you really?
Yeah, I mean helping, but it's difficult too when you got a big vessel like mine.
Well, yeah, you don't want to get yourself in a pinch,
right?
And I close.
I kind of tell people I have this whole spiel when people get on the boat, safety protocol, what to do if there's an issue like that, and I, as a Coast Guard operator, I'm required to assist if I can in a safe manner, but I can't put my own passengers at peril, right?
Yeah.
No way. Yeah.
No, it's just not ethical and it's not smart, period. So I tell people, if we can help, bring the nets in, lay them flat on the ground, everybody have a seat, and we'll do what we can. I've thrown the life ring my son's thrown the life ring 3 or 4 times now, and boats have sunk, and we pulled people on the deck. And I got to tell you this because the awesome thing about the design of the boat is my rails are wide enough to fit a wheelchair on, right? Mm-hmm. But they pull straight up, and I can set them to the side.
Oh, they can come on.
Oh, so you have an opening.
So I have an opening. I could wheel you in.
Yeah.
And I could literally reach down and pull a person on board.
Yeah.
Right up on the deck there.
And I'm not compromising the safety of the vessel and the people on board because there's not it sits so flat that even if everybody
no, dramatic weight shift or anything that happens, you can just yard them up and the boat stays still, right?
No listing.
Yep.
Very, very little. I mean, I try it all the time. I tell people, okay, just to give you an example, everybody stand on the left or everybody stand on the right, just to give you a feel for what the boat's going to do if we have a wave or, this is as stable as you're ever going to get unless you're on a freaking big barge, and who'd have thought? I honestly, in all these years, I never thought it would be possible to have that kind of vessel to do this kind of fishery.
Yeah.
But this pontoon boat's legit, man. Yeah. I just love it. Even if it wasn't me running it, I'd be looking at the dude going, well, he figured that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
He figured that out.
Well, I wanted to get back real quick, if you guys don't mind, to that comment you made about, that after the second year, you were like, I was getting looked at with your eyes crossed, and I was like, oh, that was me.
Yeah.
So did you feel like self-conscious about the boat there for a second? Like you were getting judged, or were you like, fuck it, man, this thing's legit? And
only if I was wearing my pink thong at the time.
Oh, wow.
Well, it brings a whole nother level of interest.
Glenn,
No, I'm just totally.
How were those
graphic.
days?
That is very graphic.
Glen Allen, by the way. I'm just no.
Allen.
Yeah, self-conscious, absolutely. Because let me tell you something. I've been number one to a lot of people that first couple 3 years, without a doubt. There were times where I told my son, just stay focused, don't take anything personal. People yell across, hey, Captain Dipshit, hey, dipshit, or whatever. I knew it's a play on words, right?
Yeah.
It's the dipshit.
Yeah.
But I told my son, I said, listen, we're doing a good thing. We're providing a service to people who normally can't do this.
That's what's so cool about it, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
I didn't think about that when I was looking at it, kind of like, what the fuck's going on over there?
Yeah.
I was that guy. I was like, I judged it immediately because it was different.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to accept it, be good with it. But now when you like elaborate on what your actual like goal was, what an asshole I was.
Yeah.
And probably still am. But I mean,
I forgive you, man.
Thank you. And I mean, it's just like, it's so cool because I didn't think about any of that.
Yeah.
I was just, selfish.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea.
It really is, man.
I think like it's good. It's good to have innovation, and I'm surprised we haven't seen more. And good on you for doing it.
Yeah.
And I never called you a dipshit, by the way.
You didn't
ever.
The name is
no,
really
I really
good.
did. That to me, that's taking it to another level.
Yeah.
Like, that's personal, and you kind of might need to get punched in the mouth. But
Well, I've noticed that. I mean, I was looking at your site and all that stuff. But
I need to update the pictures.
You don't really advertise that much that you are handicap friendly or all that stuff, which is surprising to me because I would think I know a lot of people that are in that situation that just don't go do things.
Yeah.
Because they can't or they don't want to be a problem. They don't want to be a hassle to anybody.
Right.
I think that's an angle that you should definitely pursue, and hopefully people that are listening know that, because I mean there's tons of people out there that
there's no doubt about it. And you know, so not really being a marketing guy, okay, my focus hasn't been really in marketing. My advertising skills are pretty minimal, you know, but being associated with, so I've done a lot with the Veterans Administration. I've done Alaska Healing Hearts is a huge supporter of mine, and I donate charters to them every year. And Delbert Lahadi has been a big support. James Hastings, those guys, and I've always told them, you know, the service is, and also Challenge Alaska. Yeah, another big supporter. I've had a few people from Challenge Alaska come on the boat, and you know, one of my thrusts is I want to supply. I want to provide an opportunity for people that are handicapped or special needs, or I can't really use the word handicap because that's not the appropriate word to use.
PC?
What's that?
It's not PC.
It's not, because if you're in a wheelchair, you don't want to be called handicap. No. You want to be called a disability. Okay, and I was schooled on that by somebody, and at first I was like, oh, I never really thought about it that way. Right. But I appreciate you saying something because I don't want to offend people, right? Mm-hmm. But but I don't discriminate either way. So when people call me to book the charter, whether they are special needs with a disability, a physical disability, or they're totally able-bodied, like last weekend he jumped Eagle Rock, you know, and he's skiing just fine right now. You know what I mean? I'm not going to discriminate on those guys coming on the boat by any means. But my interest in the beginning of starting this charter was to provide that service to them. So I am open to how to access those types of clientele, whether it be on a corporate level, whether it be on an individual level. And every year I have people that are in wheelchairs and that are friends of somebody else or a family member, you know, that type of thing. And those, I thrive on communicating with those type of people. I enjoy, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, those are the people that really respect and appreciate this dip net fishery, period. Right. The people that can't access it. I mean, I've had a guy on board that was like 82 years old. He's like, I've always wanted to dip net. I could never waddle down to the shoreline. Yeah. And I could never climb into a boat. And here I am on the boat. He caught 9 fish that day, which that's not a landslide of fishery, but for a dude that's never dip netted before, he's lived in Alaska for 50 years.
Everything to him.
Yeah, he's got fish for the winter,
awesome.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, so you asked me how to do that, why I don't, and I'm open. It's not that I don't want to, I want to. I'm not sure how to reach out and find those types of people. Yeah.
Well, we can connect you with some of these people that are heavily in social media deep, like Alaska Outdoor Girl, Danica, Ira. Ira's in a wheelchair as well.
Oh, cool.
And he's like...
He does more than all of us.
He does more than all of us combined.
God, man.
Okay? It does not slow him down.
He's on the forefront.
He would be an excellent advocate. And some of these other girls that mentioned that are like... They have the ears of people that are coming up here, so that they could help you and be like, this is another option if you're coming with your mom or you're coming with someone that is restricted in access that needs that.
Right.
I think there's not enough of that.
Right.
You know, and it's definitely not advertised out there, which is a bummer. But that you're doing it is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, but people need to know that.
The one thing to remember too, this is an Alaska fishery, subsistence fishery. You know, so. I have had folks from out of state call me and like, hey, I want to book the boat. And I'm like, sorry, brother. You know, are you a resident? No. Yeah. Sorry, I can't take you. I don't even take you on the boat if you're not a resident.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you're going to go just take pictures, your foot touches a fish, it's illegal.
Right.
The way that there's there's a lot of gray area, but then there's a lot of black and white too. And I think that was one of the things, like when we first got started, like the guys that were like the naysayers, like, I can't believe you're doing this, man. What are you doing? Where are you from? You're from California? What are you doing on that boat? They're like, no, he's not from California. He's from Peters Creek, for Pete's sake. And he's probably lived here longer than you young buck. Put whatever letter in front of that you want, But, so it's kind of like, I've lived here my whole life, and I would never jeopardize my name or my business or the people that are on the boat by allowing some kind of illegal activity. The honest to God truth. I try to everything from how we process the fish to staying inside the boundary lines on the water, because there is a boundary line, by the way. There's an imaginary line. Yeah. And people cross over that boundary. I've got buddies of mine that are like, oh, no, we fish past this point all the time. I'm like, go ahead. Slap your name on the side of the boat and see how many phone calls the state troopers get.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, when you don't. Why are we stopping fishing here? Because that guy right there and the other 4 ahead of him are all illegally fishing. Right. I don't care if they're catching fish or not. We're going back to the top. So with that being said, there's so many different things, from start to finish that are scrutinized, and by the way, I'm not the only charter outfit out there. I'm the only guy running the dip net. Yeah. Off a pontoon. But there are, I can tell you I know 5 other guys that are Kenai River fishing guides that are legit, licensed, bonded, insured king salmon fishing guides that either live on or near the river. And they provide the dip net service when they can't fill their boat with king salmon fish. Okay. Yeah. They'll come down and they'll fish. A couple of them are good friends of mine. And, and then there's a few other guys that are not, they don't advertise. They may or may not have a captain's license. They may or may not be doing it legally, but I see them on the river every day and there's different people in the boat. Yeah. And I'm not going to be the one going, oh, hey, what's that VIN number? State trooper. Hey, call this guy, check and see, because I think he's guiding illegally. I don't know if they are or not. Yeah. It's not my business to get into other people's business. Yeah. But I know that there are things out there that it falls in line with etiquette.
Yeah. Well, that goes with anything.
Yeah, everybody's always going to just...
That goes with anything, anywhere.
Yeah.
People are doing shit they shouldn't be doing, and what can you do about that? Nothing.
Yeah. Right. So with with everything you're fishing, you're like nerding out, getting better and better at fishing. It's the same thing, I remember the first year they opened that fishery and going down to dip net for the first time, and that was like when you used the king nets. Oh yeah. And then then it slowly moved up to like the shittier big aluminum nets that would frequently break at the connection. Yeah. And then now you have like so many different options. So what are you using out there?
So I'm sure you guys have heard of Mike's. Welding. Sterling. Okay. Mm-hmm.
His nets are the best.
They're legit.
Say that again. That was actually one of my questions.
Mike's Welding.
Mike's Welding and Sterling.
Yeah. It's right on the right side after you cross over Moose River.
He's got the big red, white, and blue boat that's out there.
Yeah. Those nets are the best. Why?
Well, I'm not going to say they're the best, but they are definitely an option. Yeah. Okay, if that's what you've been using, that's great. And I've been using them. I've got Mike's welding nets. I've got 3 original nets from the round hoop 3/4 inch aluminum from like the late 90s, early 2000s, and
they're all heavy.
They're heavy. They're super heavy, right? They're not dynamic at all.
No.
But they catch fish, right?
Oh yeah. Stay down.
They stay down. So I kind of play with a couple of different. I use that. I've got 3 different lengths that I use on the boat. I use 4-foot hoops or 4-foot poles with a 4-foot net in my bow. I use 6-foot nets with 4 or 5-foot hoops in the middle of the boat, and I can fish 6 nets at a time. And then in the back, I have 8-foot poles with 4-foot or 5-foot. I think they're 5-foot nets in the back. And it's when I'm fishing, I tell people we're basically creating a gauntlet. You are a floating drift gill net, and but we're trying to cover all the different water tables, right? Yep. From the top of the surface down at least 8 feet, or maybe 10 feet.
Tap and on bottom.
Yeah, and on high tide, I can't get deep enough.
No,
you just can't.
Nope.
But if you could, and there's a couple of guys out there that if they've just got 2 people in the boat and they got like a 10-foot pole and a 5-foot hoop, they're down there 15. But don't forget, the railing of my boat is 41 inches off the surface of the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The pontoon, then the railing. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I catch a lot of fish right on top with the nets right off the bow. And anyways, so the nets that I've been using, mostly Mike's, and he actually designed. His son's name is
Mike Jr.
No, it's like Hunter or
Seward.
Fisher.
Frank. I can't remember his name. Is nice kid.
Glen Allen.
Glen Allen, not Glen Allen this time. But his dad
Old
designed
Old Seward.
Moose
Oh, man,
Pass.
that's a great
My son,
name,
Moose,
man.
Moose Pass, get over here. Damn it, Moose Pass. But he designed an aluminum extrusion that looks like a football. And in the middle of the extrusion, it's got a cross member.
Okay.
And it's extruded like that to give it rigidity. And I've used those.
Okay.
They work. They're really streamlined. But to be honest with you, I may be on a smaller vessel where when dragging one net on one side of the boat is going to pull you if you don't have a net on the other side of the boat. It probably makes a big difference. But on my boat, it's so big and it's so flat surface that I could hang 3 nets off one side of the boat and just have to work the controls a little bit to keep it steady. So that I don't find it to be any more beneficial to have that type of extrusion for the hoop.
Right.
But they make good stuff.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. But I've also been trying, they're heavy.
Yeah.
And this past year, I tried a totally different setup, and I wish I could tell you the name. I can't remember the name of them, but it's a totally different hoop, but they're on the same pole. And it's easy to replace the net.
Okay.
I pop off one bolt, slide a new net on the hoop, and I'm done. With Mike's design, unless there's something I don't know, you have to thread line around the hoop and then feed the net onto it and lash it. So you can't do that on the fly.
Right.
And if I catch a king and a king rips the net apart, first of all, I never bring a king on board unless the season's open for him, and it hasn't been for 5 years.
Right.
I will lose a net and the whole apparatus before I pull a king on board. I don't care if it's a 15-pound king or a 50-pound king. I tell people we leave the fish in the net, in the boat, or in the water, and we get my son's got a really good technique of flipping. And if we can get it real quick without the jaws and the teeth getting caught at the gills,
to release it.
It can just slip right out of there.
Pop it right out. So we've torn up a few nets. It's super low tide. We've got them caught on crap. Down below mooring blocks, but for the most part, old body. There's probably a few dead bodies down there.
Well, I always hear stories about, I got a body that time. That's what I got stuck on.
Have you ever caught a seal? Have you ever caught a harbor seal in your boat? Yeah, I've caught 7 or 8 of them. Actually, they taste a lot like dull sheep, or not dull sheep, bald eagle. That's right, bald eagle.
Bald eagle.
I think I need another beer.
Yeah, we got. Before we are going to take a quick break, but I want to ask you, where does the Kirkland signature net rank?
I've never used one.
One
the Costco one.
I can.
I know what you're saying.
I have a good answer for it.
Yeah,
In the garbage.
One-time use.
that's right. Oh, really? Yeah.
I'm going dip net one time. Go buy one for $50.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
One and done.
I've never used one.
The way that they have that radius of that thin tube, it has no support. So, you just kind of get this flexy bend and breaks. You get the metal fatigue.
Wow.
Good to know.
One-timers.
Aren't they being made here locally, though?
Maybe
I've
now,
seen
but not.
truckloads heading to Costco with.
I'm
No, they must be. They must be.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But not very
got
well,
some at
sounds like.
Three Bears.
Oh,
Went
okay.
dipping.
Yeah.
Those were donezo.
Really?
Piled them up and threw them in the back of the truck to bring them back to town to dump.
Wow.
And stopped at Mike's on our way home and bought some good nets.
That's right.
Yeah.
When we came back the next weekend, boy, we were fucking shit up.
Yeah. I know there's an outfit up in the valley. They actually make Super Cub frames.
Okay.
And it's called Airframe Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
And they're kind of new on the scene as far as making dip nets.
Oh, okay.
But I think
they're in the
it's
game.
the profile of that extrusion is a lot like the one that Mike's has.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's a proprietary, what do you call a patent on that or not? I have no idea. But I know it was extruded like specifically for dip netting. So in order to get a patent, you probably had to buy a shitload of linear feet of aluminum sticks before you could, make it worthwhile.
And you want another one of those?
Yeah. Let's take a quick break and we'll get some more beers here going.
Thank you.
Barney Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. Barney specializes in supplying hunters with the absolute best Alaskan-proven gear on the market for some of nature's most rugged and demanding terrain. Whether you're headed to the remote volcanic islands of the Alaska Peninsula in search of a brown bear, or the shale-infested glacial valleys of the Brooks Range for Dall sheep, it is critical you choose the right gear for your dream hunt. Don't miss Barney's exclusive brand, Frontier Gear of Alaska, tested from the high mountains of Tajikistan to the extreme conditions of Alaska. These products were designed for high performance and durability. Frontier Gear was derived from decades of experience hunting big game in Alaska. Paired with other top brands, it provides you the absolute best gear selection anywhere in the world. Stop in at Barney Sports Chalet in Anchorage on Northern Lights or check out their custom website and reference tool at barneysports.com.
Arbor Digital, based in Anchorage, Alaska, is your go-to wealth management company. Arbor Digital is at the forefront of digital assets and cryptocurrencies. If you've been looking to invest your hard-earned money or just want to learn more about crypto, blockchain technology, or digital investments, give their website, acminc.com, a visit. What's great about Arbor is they provide a low-cost, transparent, research-based investment strategy for digital assets and traditional investments as well. acminc.com is your first step in putting your money to work. Let one of Arbor's investment professionals walk you through your options for financial growth and security. Start investing for the future today at acminc.com. Arbor Digital, your Alaskan digital asset company.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience. At Total Truck, you can find brands such as ARE, RSI Smart Caps, Goose Gear, iCamper, Front Runner, Rigid Lights, Rhino Linings bed liners, and everything you need to outfit your truck or SUV. Alaska Overlander provides 4x4 vehicles and expedition trailers, custom modified for Alaskan adventures and outfitted with rooftop tents, fridges, and all the camping and cooking gear you need to start exploring. Visit them at alaskaoverlander.com.
Just a quick note real quick, people that were listening to the ad reads there. Arbor Capital has a brand new website. We haven't got a chance yet to go in there and redo the ad reads. It's arborcapital.io. Once again, it's arborcapital.io. Right now is, if anyone's into investing, everything's like crashed, everything's down, everything's at the bottom. Now's the time to, if you got some money laying around, to give these guys a call and go to their website, arborcapital.io. And they can walk you through there. It's super easy for you to sign up and just get going on any type of investments that you want to do with those guys. They got a fully revamped website, revamped logo, all that stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of that because the new website's up and running there, and they're trying to get people attracted to that thing.
Get cryptoed out?
Get fully cryptoed out.
I haven't bought into that yet.
Well, now's the time. It's like at the low.
You know,
don't do like I did.
You know what I just realized? I just bought high. You know what I just realized needs like a full revamp?
What?
Oh, man.
Oh.
Didn't get a goddamn caribou call.
Oh, you didn't?
At the beginning of the show.
Oh, wow.
Oh, me and
Did
Jackie
you?
did. Yeah.
You guys did it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness, man.
We got
Nobody even told me about the caribou call.
Yeah, we
Well,
don't
it's 'cause-
tell
that's 'cause
people.
you didn't-
You
that's 'cause
gotta
you don't
listen.
man.
Yeah.
That's how we know you're not a listener.
Yeah.
Would you fast forward
Sean-
through the
Sean
intro
didn't tell you,
or
huh?
what, man? You
Sean
said you
didn't
listened to
tell
an
you.
hour.
Yeah, I don't think I paid attention to the
Glen
caribou
Allen, we're going to give you a pass this time.
call. I'll take it. I'll take the passes, man.
Yeah, we'll start calling you Sutton.
Damn. Welcome to Sutton, bitches.
Only a third of the way there. Sutton's not a bad name.
Sutton? I like that for like a dog name. Or a kid name, I guess.
I mean, a pure Alaskan kid name.
yeah.
Sutton.
Sutton.
How about Piper? I mean,
Piper's
word from
nice.
Sarah
Oh,
Palin, right?
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't know if it works, but.
Right. I wonder what our new kids are going to be called.
So we went through the nets, but I wanted to touch on the you mentioned earlier you had one of the commercial We call them the sucker uppers. The vacuum sealers.
Oh yeah.
Do you got the one that was at Costco, or you went next level?
No, man. I've got this is I wish I knew the name of it. It's made in France.
Oh, really?
It's no.
The Salute?
Not France. Oui, oui. No, it's not. It's not French. It's Italian. Sorry, it's Italian. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's Italian. I'm pretty sure it is.
Is it one of the ones they got there at the butcher shop? Butcher there in Mountain View.
Yeah, it was honestly it's top of the line. I paid like $5,000 for it, but it has it's 36 inches long or wide, and 32 inches wide, 18 inches deep, and I can vacuum seal 4 full fillets at the same time, or 6 smaller fillets at the same time.
Yeah,
and it takes like 45 seconds for it to do. It's a chamber vacuum, so it blows it up and then sucks it out.
Yeah,
which is
what's the when you guys you're coming up and you got 100 and whatever fish on there. What's the setup like? What do you guys line it up at home? You do it
as far as the vacuum sealing goes.
Yeah, just the whole like cleaning them up and doing it for the patrons on the boat.
So on the boat, I have a water pump that will pump river water to keep the boat clean and just to rinse the fillets off on board. But that's never the final product. It's never. I always tell people, even if you're not vacuum sealing with me, take the fish home, rinse it with fresh water, either flash freeze it and then vacuum seal it, or vacuum seal it right away. But make sure you freeze it real good to kill the bacteria, because let's be honest, the lower Kenai River is full of bacteria. Anybody that knows it, all the birds flying around, I mean, it's like super high level of concentration of bacteria down there. So
very true.
Yeah, it's bad. So what I do is at my camp, I have a 275 gallon freshwater tank. So we'll rinse the fish and we'll bag it on the boat. What I normally do is I depending on, it doesn't really matter how many people I've got on the boat, but I will bag 5 fish in a bag, 5, which is 10 fillets, right? So I always know how many fish we have on board, but I have a clicker system.
Okay.
And as people catch fish, they have their personal clicker. So let's just say you've got your permit and you've got 35, you and your wife, right? Or your boyfriend, whatever.
Yep, I love
boys.
Boyfriend? I love boys.
Okay.
Lady boys.
Oh, then I'm not offending you. Okay.
Dirty Mike and the boys.
Dirty Mike and the boys.
Oh, hey, okay.
He's got a nice beard.
Well, yes, he does.
He's a friend and he is a male.
All right. I don't know how we got off on that, but anyways, sorry about that.
That was on you, Glenn.
That was on me. Okay.
For the record.
So clicker.
So you keep track of, let's just say you guys are on the same card, right? So you have 35 fish.
Okay.
You keep track and I'm reminding people every time, every drift, every time a fish comes on board, click it. Don't forget to click it, click it, click it, click it. At the end of the day, if your clicker says 35, you've got 35 fish. That's the amount of fish that you're catching. You're keeping track. And then I keep a track of the amount of fish I catch on the boat total.
Okay.
But let's just say, you catch 25, he catches 10. You're on the same tag. You're tagging out at 35 fish. Okay. But let's just say you come on the boat. Okay. Jack's like, he's got
3
family of
boyfriends.
714, and you've got like 40, 490 fish on your tag, right?
Yeah.
So you can fish for yourself and you keep track of your clicker. Yeah. And I'll constantly remind you, hey, make sure you click it. So at the end of the day, when we're all done fishing, you take your 35, you're going to get 2, 4, 6, you're going to get 7 bags. Is that 6 bags of 5 fish each, right? For your 35 fish. This is my math. My math, 5.
7 times 5, 35.
Yeah, 7. So there we go. So 7 bags, you're going to get your 35 fish. But it's going to be, each bag is going to contain, 5 fish. Now, if you have an odd number like 32, so you're going to get your bags with the 5 fish, and then you're going to get 1 bag with 2 fish in it.
Yeah. Got it.
Right. So at the end of the day,
track.
Yeah. And I write it all down as I go. I got a pad there, and I'm keeping track, a waterproof pad, and I keep track of it. So, and when Park Service or state troopers ever pull over and ask me questions, the people know exactly what their fish count is individually. I know what the boat count is, and I'm a stickler for it, man. The last 2 seasons, it was phenomenal because I had a private boat launch with the Cannery Lodge right there on the upper part of the river.
Yep.
And the owner of the Cannery Lodge, Ron Hyde, super nice guy, he contacted me a few years ago. He's like, hey, I'd like to bring you over to the lodge. You know, you guys can launch your boat, you have your own dock, the whole 9 yards. Just, you know, be kind, send me some business to the lodge.
Yeah.
Worked out great. Well, he just recently sold the property.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm no longer going to be at the Cannery Lodge.
You didn't soup that up?
Oh, I only had $1.2 million in my pocket, not 1.3.
Oh, you just
Sorry.
need that extra 100K. We
I
got
thought
right in there.
I thought about hitting Sean Sexton up and asking if
Come
he
on,
would
Sean.
give me $50, but
He was busy in Scotland.
yeah, he was hiking across the mountain.
You just got to build a relationship with them now.
Yeah, well, so it actually, I don't know if that'll happen because it's the Salamantoff Native Corporation,
Oh, okay.
and I think they have big plans for condos or something of that nature.
Really? Okay.
So all I know is I was told they don't want any. The new owners want nothing to do with the dip net fishery in general.
Oh,
Got
okay.
it. Got it.
So Copper River Seafoods was using that dock for a long time, but then things kind of COVIDed out and everything changed. And so I had the pleasure of operating out of there the last 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Before that, I was operating out of the city boat launch, and I'll be going back to the Kenai City boat launch. And then I camp at a place right next door to that. But so my plan is this year, I'll have everything set up. So we get off the boat, people either take their fish and go home, or they take their fish and come over to our camp. I'll have a freshwater tank. I've got a tent, vacuum seal machines in a closed area. My brother actually lives in Kenai. My sister lives in Soldotna. So my brother will come over and he rinses the fish. And I have an ice machine, a commercial ice maker in my trailer.
Nice.
So I can provide ice to people. And so we bring the fish in off the boat, rinse it, freshwater rinse with fresh water. Good pallet or potable water.
This is not. They're not clean. They're just whole.
They're filleted.
Okay,
We
they're already
fillet
filleted.
them.
You
Yeah,
fillet
they're
them while you're
filleted
out there.
right on the boat.
Okay, gotcha.
Do you let the fillets touch each other? Like the meat touch the fillet? That the meat touch the skin of another fillet? Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm sure it happens. Yeah. When we lay them in the bag, we try to put fillet down.
Yeah, meat on meat.
Yeah,
meat on
we,
meat.
we just have a rule that the meat never touches the skin.
Really?
Right. Because there's
Get
all
the
that
slime
there's
and
all
stuff.
that slime in there. And we've done, we've been dipping in there since I was a kid.
Okay.
And just catching fish in general down there.
Oh, you're the guy that's been keeping all the kings. I got it.
Yeah.
That's why
Jack
there's
Lau,
more
double
left.
shovel.
Thanks.
Yeah. I haven't kept the king on the Kenai
Thanks a lot,
since
John.
like 2003 or something. But and it wasn't dip netting. But anyway, regardless of that,
Don't take it
we did
personal,
a bunch of tests with the fillets
Okay.
on if they sat in without touching another, so without the meat touching the skin, but in like the water,
Okay.
or if we knew that like the slime, the slime edge, the skin edge touched the meat, the clean meat fillet.
Okay.
And then also just keeping them separate. And then we let them go through the winter.
Okay.
And there was a significant taste difference and like quality of the meat through the year.
Right.
So like at first it wasn't that big of a deal. It definitely would be like a little fishier.
Okay.
If it had touched,
And you're talking about during the freezing process?
No, I'm talking about like when you fillet them and
Right,
put them in your cooler.
okay.
Like on the boat or like
Oh,
right
even in the
after.
cooler?
Yeah, the cooler is the biggest kind of error.
So you want to go meat to meat?
Yeah, you want to go meat to meat, or what we do now is like we bring the whole ones home and then we do either the vinegar trick or like the pressure washer, and then now you don't have any more of that slime. But I was just curious because there's other people that fillet out there that know about this kind of thing, and they are what they do is they cut the meat right in the middle and then fold skin to
Leave
skin
the whole fish.
and then they put them in a bag right away. So then, there's a really great chance that the meat doesn't really touch any of the slime.
Everybody has their technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I won't argue with anybody's technique. The one thing that we're adamant about is we're plucking gills.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or we're
bleeding
when
them
we're
out.
catching a shit ton of fish real quick, we're bleeding them out. Either sticking them with a knife in the head.
Yep.
Yeah, clipping fins, bleed them out. Boom.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. As long as you stay inside the fishery, You don't have to clip a fin.
Oh, really?
Oh,
As long as you are adamantly staying within the fishery, okay? If my boat floats out of the fishery in the boat zone, and I put that fish in a cooler, and I cover that cooler, I'm illegal if I don't clip a fin.
Oh, okay.
And document my card. So I stay. That's why I was saying earlier is like, I get to the end of a drift. And I stay within the boundaries, and I'm adamant about it. People are like, why aren't we fishing further? There's other people fishing. I'm like, because they're outside the boundary.
Yeah.
If I've got to go to the dock, the city dock, before the last place where I was staying at the Kenai Lodge, I was inside the boundaries of the boat zone. Right. So it didn't matter. I could go to the dock, and people could get out. As long as the fish are staying within the fishery, I don't have to document it, and I don't have to clip the fins.
Right.
But if you leave the shoreline and you're away from your fish, it has to be documented.
Okay.
Or the fins have to be. It also has to be documented.
so you
and
pull a boat out of the water full of fish.
No, I wasn't.
If you did though,
Yes.
you pulled your boat out of the city dock. Now it's on the trailer on the
Absolutely.
parking lot.
Now-
Every fin better be clipped.
Or they better be processed and documented.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So, and a lot of people say, well, how do you keep track of how many fish you got on board? Well, you got 2 fillets on a fish. If you had to count them, you count the fillets. State troopers say that. It makes perfect sense.
Right.
Well, how many fish you got? Okay, and this goes back to the clicker. Okay, you're keeping track of your individual
You
fish
have a check and balance here.
constantly, dude. That's like, I'm anal about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we've got 50. I think we got like 55 fish on board. Let's double check.
Yeah.
How many you got? 12. How many you got? 14. How many you got? 22. We're checking numbers. Don't quote me on the math because I absolutely suck with that.
It sounded really good though, and
I was close. I think I was close, right?
Yeah, you got
Might have
it.
been.
You hit it.
I might have been off by 1 or 2, but the bottom line is everybody keeps track of their fish, and then I keep a boat count.
Yeah.
So I know at the beginning of the day, like if I've got like a boat quota of like 170, I know that ahead of time. I'm not just inadvertently catching fish and throwing them in the cooler or filleting them.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, what was yours?
Right.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
shit, you're done 25 fish ago.
Yeah, stuff happens, but if you are adamant about keeping track, you're going to be able to stay on top of it. I can guarantee you. And another thing you can't party fish. Okay, so you're done with your tag. You've got your 35 fish. Okay, and now you're still working on your 795 fish.
Yeah.
You guys are done fishing.
Yeah.
You can't fish for him.
Yeah.
You can't even hold a net.
Can't just be filling quotas.
No.
It doesn't work like
No,
that.
you catch your fish, you're done. You catch your fish, you're done.
Yep.
Unless you got somebody else on your card in the if I have a family permit, and I do that a lot. I have family of 4 or 5, and they're all fishing because it's all going on the same permit, right? But you can't. Oh, just don't worry about it. I'll just keep catching fish for you. No, it doesn't work.
Doesn't
That's
work
party
that way.
fishing. That's illegal. The only thing I can relate that to is years ago, I went deer hunting in Iowa, and I was under the understanding. This was like 25 years ago. I was under the understanding. I could be wrong. So if anybody hears me, they're going to quote me on this. But I could be wrong. But I was told that in Iowa you could party hunt. So as long as somebody in your group has a tag, you could. I'm sorry.
Oh, like
I say
proxies?
Iowa. This is Colorado.
It's almost like a proxy.
Yes and no, but
Okay.
I think it's in Colorado. It wasn't Iowa, but in Colorado at the time, if there was a party of 5 and everybody has a tag, and you got into them and you shot all 5, as long as you have a tag for those 5 animals, regardless of whether he shot them, Jack shot them, or David shot it. Brandon, I'm sorry, Brandon.
He looks like a good dude.
Daniel,
Brandon,
Daniel,
it's pretty
Brandon.
close.
Sorry,
Yeah.
it's the beard, man. Threw me off.
Just be like, you just call us.
He fought a Goliath last weekend, so.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You could call us Dandon
Brandon.
or Braniel. One of the
All right.
I like Dandon.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
That was me and my brother's name. My little brother's name is Daniel.
really.
So mom and dad called us Braniel and Dandon. It was just easy
That's
to be
funny.
like,
That's funny. I got Manoa.
that's what Harper calls the boys.
Manoa. That's
Manoa.
where we got it.
Manoa?
My son's
Manoa.
name Mateo and Noah.
Oh,
It's Manoa.
Manoa.
Well, we need
Manoa.
both of them to come over here now.
I got you.
Combo.
But yeah, that was the
Where
thing.
were we
I mean, if you shot, you could party, but in the state of Alaska, you can't party hunt, you can't party fish. So you're unless Now, the only difference here is that unless you're on the same permit.
Okay.
Now you guys are brothers,
Yeah.
okay? You guys are on the same and you all live in the same household. That's the other thing too.
Okay.
You're on their dipnet permit. Okay, everything makes that legit. Let's see, you guys are all under the age of 18, and you're young brothers, and you live in the same household. You're on the same permit with your mom and dad. Okay, but if you live in a separate location, then you can't be on the same permit. Right. Why would you do that anyways? If your limit's 25 for yourself and your limit's 25, why would you guys do a 35 limit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
So that's what I tell people, and I know that ahead of time. It's, most people don't ever have a problem with it. The one thing I have been allowing guys to do is legally proxy fish for friends and family, as long as they got the proxy, the paperwork.
Legit, yep.
But I'll be honest with you, I'm not doing that anymore. Unless, number one, my son, Cody, is doing all the hard grunt work. He's helping people pull fish in. He's filleting all the fish. Yeah. He's cleaning the deck. He's maintaining the ambiance on the boat. I mean, he's
full labor,
full on labor. And I pay him well to do it, but it's also comes from just the desire to be involved in the fishery, right?
Yeah, he's got a passion for it.
He does. He loves it. Absolutely loves it, like I do. And so with that being said, you've got people that, okay, I've got 25 on my card, but I got a proxy from my buddy across the street, and he's got 45 fish.
Right. And
this happened last year, okay? And the guy's like, everybody in the boat tagged out. We had a great day. It was like 175 fish or something, 185, something like that.
Money day.
And we caught that amount of fish in less than 8 hours because it's an 8-hour charter. We had a couple stellar freaking days.
Were you in between tides or something where it just clicked?
It was.
That's a lot of slime getting thrown around in scales.
As the flood come in, starting at 6 a.m. in the morning, the full flood, and then a little bit of the ebb.
Out.
Yeah, and it was a steady. It was like an 86,000 fish day.
Yeah,
and I just know where to go when the fish are hot and just catch them up.
Just boiling.
Oh, just boiling. But this guy's upset with me because he goes, well, I still got like 40 or 35 fish on my. I'm like, you paid for one charter, and you didn't pay for your proxy. So I'm gonna allow you to catch a few fish until everybody else is tagged out. But when everybody else is tagged out, we're done fishing.
Yeah.
And he couldn't wrap his head around it. And I'm like, my son's gonna fillet 170 fish in 6.5 hours. And it's done. We do it. Okay. And if I put a dollar figure on it and said, well, I'll tell you what, if you want to fish a proxy, it costs you another $100. That's not really profit. That's not really good business sense because my son's hands after 150 fish, they look like big, fat, swollen kielbases.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's got a whole season to go through.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if a guy wants to take the fish whole and fillet him himself, that's maybe a different story, but it doesn't really do it. And these are all individual people that are on the boat. It's not like one group.
Yeah.
So you don't know him. He doesn't know him. Mm-hmm. I'm done fishing.
Yeah.
And this guy he caught his 25.
Yeah.
It's not really cool to
catch
so etiquette thing there.
Fish.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, when is it enough?
What? Sometimes
throw 10 to your neighbor across the street and keep 20. I mean, is that, do you need more than that?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a limit for a reason.
That's right.
A lot of folks get their head wrapped around that like number and meeting a quota, and then they get home and they're like, oh my God, they have way more fish than I need.
Right. And they get freezer burned. And it's interesting though, because some people like definitely abuse the fishery, they take too many fish.
No doubt.
But then there's people like John Lau who eat every one of them. You know, the dude eats salmon 3 days a week. Every time I go to his house, I get a smoked salmon pack. Yep. And you're like, okay, or jars. And it's like you're doing the right thing with the fish.
Right.
But I don't know, countless other people that you just know they're just getting freezer burned.
Right.
I've been in our house a million times. I've never had fish. They've never given me smoked salmon. They never give me a jar of salmon. And you're like, what do you do with this fish?
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. This fishery is a subsistence fishery designed for residents of Alaska, not for people that live in the lower 48.
Shipping it out.
Resident. Oh yeah, I'm sending fish to so and so.
Right.
Well, it better not be the fish you caught on the dipnet, on a dipnet charter or dipnet fishery. Sport caught, you do whatever you want. Commercially caught, do whatever you want. But this fish the fishery is designed. It's a respect thing for the fishery.
Yeah.
And I know that people are party fishing. I know that people are sending fish out of lower 48. I know that people are doing. I'm not the cops. I'm not going to police people. You're going to get on my boat. You're going to prove to me you're an Alaska resident.
Yep.
You're going to have the proper documentation. We're going to fish the day accordingly to the regulations and the rules. And I'm going to leave it at that. And what you do when you get off my boat, that's between you and the state.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I don't promote it. I will tell people, you know, if everybody on the boat wants to split their fish up evenly, let's just say, you caught
Which
the bulk
is
of
kind
the
of a
fish,
fair thing to do.
Like halibut style when they do that.
Yes. However, but if you're going to do it, you can catch all your fish and then get off the boat, or get off the dock and hand them all to him if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. Legally, you can do that.
Yeah.
It pulls away from the spirit of the fishery, but you can legally do it. So I tell people, if you want to divide the fish evenly, if you're not a party and not all fishing on the same tag, and you want to split the fish evenly, you're welcome to do that, but it can't be on my boat, on the water. It has to be either in the parking lot or at home or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be privy to it and I don't want to be involved in it. It's not that it's illegal. I just don't want I don't want it to be part of my business.
Right. Yeah.
And
Smart.
99% of the time, people are like, "No, totally get that." You know?
Yeah.
And then
they
they
gotta respect it.
Yeah, and the messed up part though is you wish that more people would do it.
Yeah.
But I had some folks on board last year that caught like
all the fish and the other guys caught nothing.
Yeah. Just some.
Yeah.
It's ironic how some nets are hotter than others in the position of the boat.
Yeah.
It's like one day the top left corner is catching all the fish. The next day the bottom right corner is catching all the fish.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. You know. And I fish I fish the same way every day.
Yeah.
Every run.
Yeah.
You know, the temperature of the water makes a big difference on whether the fish are up high in the water table or down low. And I'm monitoring my fish. My counter, or not my counter, but my depth finder.
Yeah.
I know where the mud's at. I know where the rocks are. I don't know where all the pilings are that
What about the
boats have
bodies?
left.
Right.
Or the bodies.
You know where the bodies
They're
are?
All those
moving around a
fingers,
little
like toes and fingers that catch on the mesh, and then
They hang up a little bit there.
Oh yeah.
That's not a salmon tail. That's a finger. Where did that come from? These commercial guys are getting brutal. They're just throwing their crew overboard, man. Out of here, man.
I'll be open and honest that I've never really been dip netting on a boat.
Okay.
I'm
It's
curious.
okay. Hey, you're amongst friends right now. It's okay, man. Just
No, so
being
I'm
honest is
a
good.
big river.
No one's gonna judge you, bro.
No, but my question
Judgment
is
free zone.
where as we were talking with Scott when Scotty Gomez was going on and other people that I know that are big into it.
Yeah.
They put them in the trash cans when they're done. What's the technique that you guys use as far as 100 salmon got to go somewhere?
We fillet as we catch.
Okay, fillet as you catch.
Nice.
And then
We fillet as we
straight into
catch.
the cooler.
Yeah, I've got a lot of times if we're just hitting them hard, we leave them on the deck until the drift is over with.
Yeah.
And then we count them up, make sure we got the right number.
Okay.
And then throw them in the cooler. And my coolers are big 128 got coolers. So when the fish lays in the cooler, if it's in there for any amount of time, a rigor mortis kicks in, it's laying flat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Easy to fillet.
Yeah. I don't want to say never because it has happened where we've caught so many fish. Last summer we had like 4 epic days in a row, and we caught 120, what was it? In 2 hours and 2 minutes, 135 fish.
Oh man.
And that was at a high tide starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. So by 8:02 in the morning, we're tagged out.
Wow.
Okay. So we're
They're
catching them.
shoveling fish in the boat.
Shoveling in the boat. And then there was another day where we caught like 200 and something fish and it took like 6 hours to catch, you know.
And were the nets out? Like the big commercial nets are out of the water on those days?
I have to think about that.
You don't
think
see do you see
There's a
yeah.
flux.
Oh yeah.
But believe it
they
or not,
affect it.
it's not as bad as some people think it is. Oh, the nets are out. I'm not going to catch
That's
any
why I
fish
didn't
today.
get any.
Yeah.
Well, it's timing though with that. Mm-hmm. You know, they can be out, but did they drop their nets yet? Mm-hmm. How many days has it been since they dropped their nets? Where they
Right.
mixed the school up, and then they balled back up and came in bunches. I mean,
were the drifters out? Were the set netters out?
Yeah,
were the set netters not out and the drifters were out?
Yeah.
You know, what time did it start? What was it a minus tide? Was it a plus tide? Everything changes.
Yeah.
Did you have
Temperature
a
of the water.
Yeah. Red shirt on, blue shirt on.
Yeah. Whether they got a pink thong on or not. I mean, it all makes a big difference, you know.
I always kind of
It's getting hot in here, baby.
Hey, baby.
It cooled off since you opened the door, though. That was a good move. It kind of broke the seal.
What's the biggest catch you've had? The biggest day?
Boat day?
Yeah.
Last summer we caught 220. 220. It was an odd number, like 221, 223 or something like that.
Yeah.
But that was actually an 8-hour day, and then I had family and friends on board after the regular 8-hour day, and we stopped at like 55 or 50 something fish.
Yeah.
On the next round on that tide?
On the next round, because my family, we just, friends and family, I just want to catch 20 fish or 10 fish, and we left it at that. But that was a day, where my son's looking at me and he goes, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't fillet any more fucking fish, Dad. You got to stop. So I'm running the boat to like the center channel, high tide, center channel where I never fish, trying to get away from fish. Deepest water, and we're still slamming them. I'm like, oh my God. I'm thinking about cutting a couple nets out of the hoop, But yeah, I was like 225 or something like that, which is, and some people, they get caught up in the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And I see that.
Easy to do.
Yeah, people get caught up in the numbers like, well, I fished from 6 a.m. in the opener to 11 p.m. and I caught 250 fish. Okay. Congratulations. What are you
doing with them?
Yeah. Okay. Now you're the guy anchored up, or you're the guy running 7 loads of coolers to the dock, to the truck. And by the way, in that time period, very, very rarely do we ever bring fish back or have to anchor up to fillet fish. In the first couple of years, we used to catch fish and we'd fillet as we go. But as my son has got it down to, he's down to about a 45-second fillet on a normal fish.
That was my next question, is his technique.
He's got a great technique. Is
he doing
really,
just the one slide, flip it, other slide?
No, he's actually taking the meat off the rib cage. So when you get your fillet, I've got a video actually on my website how he does it.
Pull it up real quick.
It's all look through some of the videos there. But it is actually a fillet process where the ribs are coming off the meat, so you don't have that rib on the meat.
You don't have.
Is that a second slice? Is he doing that and
he
then
goes
trimming
the
them?
Front, the back, and then does he cut from the belly and curve the knife right through?
I guess we're gonna see.
So
that's the Manfredi, and it doesn't come with the ribs. It's amazing.
What is that? Say it again.
The Matt Manfredi.
I know, but how does it go?
You do it from the stomach side. You make a cut across the body on up to down on right next to the gills, one near the tail, and then you start at the front of the fish, and you really like bend the blade. And you can cut right above those rib cage, bones going to the back. And so then it just comes out perfect. There's nothing left on it. And basically you just see like what the whiteness from the rib left on on the fish carcass.
Is there a way for me to text you or send you a video?
Yep, definitely. Why don't you just airdrop it to me?
Let me see if I can.
It'll pop up. Or
the website doesn't have an actual like filleting video.
Okay,
that I can find here.
If you open up airdrop, it'll.
Okay, so I marked it, and then let's go to. I don't know how to airdrop. I'm really like.
Yeah, I figured he did like the upper head slit, and then the tail slit, and then start at the spine and just like do like 3 strokes.
Right.
And then. You just flop the fillet off, comes right off the rib.
Yeah, but he's saying that the rib bones.
Yeah, the ribs
Jack was saying the rib bone's already off on that. My technique is I cut the belly, go from the head, hold the head, do that, and then I have to do the ribs.
Yeah, I'm talking
afterwards.
about the technique I'm telling you about is like head, tail, start at the top, like flip, as if the fish was flipped over, and you start at the spine, and you just like flop, and then the rib stays on the carcass with the guts and everything. Now you just have just the fillet and the skin, and then if you want to skin it real quick, like
So the style I'm talking about is the same as you're saying, except for it's one swipe and it's from the stomach side towards you, and you bend the knife right over above that rib cage and back, and it's just a perfect fillet.
And then you don't have to do the rib strip off?
It's done. Yep.
So
Wow.
A lot of times we would separate the belly.
That's
We would actually fillet. We would
Did it come
butterfly, and then cut the belly out. And we did that. It's kind of really.
Oh, it's still down.
Yeah, because I prefer to fillet mine the way Daniel said.
Right.
And then carve the rib out and then cut the strip of belly off separate. And then I throw that in a bag. That's actually my favorite part of the fish or bellies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I kind of have this love-hate relationship with bellies.
I mean, it's an extra process. But, I mean, if you just want to deep fry some just fat rich, juicy.
We used to when we first got started, and I was just trying to appease everybody. King belly was super fatty, right?
Oh my god, the best ever.
When we were first getting going, the first couple of years, I was like, I just want to make people happy.
Yeah.
Whatever you want me to fillet the whole fish, or you want me to just leave it all whole? I just gut it for you, head it. How you want to? I was
Burger King. How you want it?
What do you just to appease people? Now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, we fillet your fish.
This is the option.
Or we clip the tails and hand you the whole fish, and you can take it yourself.
Totally.
Most people are like, I'll have you fillet it.
Yeah, why not?
And I mean, seriously. So, and it's a simple process, but I hope that video.
Download. As we're on that, we'll get to that. What's the?
You can watch the video.
What's the knife?
You're never gonna believe it.
Victorinox?
No.
What?
No.
What is it? The plain one with the wood one? Do you get it?
No.
The Rapala?
The Rapala. That's
no.
And the size, I'm curious.
Oh yeah,
on
he
that
does
too.
it your way.
You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a $10 special from Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
You're not giving up brands?
What?
The brand is it the one that has the wood but it's long and thin?
I've got one of those myself.
Okay.
It was a custom. I got it for a Christmas present. But so the kids on the boat.
Oh man,
right,
kids love
dude, that's the best, man. I gotta tell you,
her belly, dude.
Man, she's
I love
fully
it.
suited right there. Give it the old bonk.
Yeah, this kid was.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
His mom and dad. His dad's a firefighter up in Fairbanks. They drove all the way down 3 seasons in a row.
Oh man, just slimed up.
His name is Paxson, and his sister's name is Susitna.
Oh, that's
that's
right
wow.
there.
Great name. That's Jack's son's name, Paxson.
Yeah.
Susitna? That's a great
Susitna,
name.
right?
I like that.
Right? I know.
Almost as good as Sutton.
I bet they called her Little Sue.
Oh, I like that.
That's the coolest nickname ever.
I like that.
When my son was born,
A boy named Little
we were
Sue.
going to name him Kodiak.
Oh yeah.
Kodiak Paul
shit.
Trombley.
Oh,
And
damn.
but the funniest part is
It's a big boy name.
It's a big boy name, right? And he's a big boy. But I don't know what happened along the way, but my mother-in-law got involved.
Oh, they tend to have
God
some
rest her
say in
soul.
that
She just passed
situation.
away, but she got involved somehow. And next thing I know, it was going to be Kodi for short, but Kodiak Paul Trombley. Next thing I know, a week later, I'm looking at the dadgum birth certificate, and I'm like, Kody with no I and no AK at the end.
Cody.
I'm like, what happened here? She's like, I don't know. I'm like,
Middle name Mac.
no.
Cody.
How did my mother get? I don't know how my mother-in-law could get involved in that, but she did.
Damn.
They
so I
figure
kinda-
out ways to
They figure out a way to get their
weasel
fingers in there.
and
Oh yeah, they do.
help
Oh, yeah, they
manipulate decisions and
Fill in some cracks.
I tried
There
to
you
tell her,
go.
I'm like, I don't think you understand. My name is an authentic Alaskan name. I wanted my kids to be an authentic Alaskan name. My daughter's name is Alexis. We talked about Susitna, but in Susie for short, but it didn't happen. But then that was 5 years later, and after everything getting screwed up with our son's name. But I tell him all the time, I'm like, we call him Code for short, but really should have been Kodiak Trombley. How cool would that have been?
he could legally change his name.
He could.
Yeah.
My mother would
Cody's
probably
a cool
roll over in her
short
grave,
name.
but
Don't you dare.
He's gonna go one step further. Brown bear.
that's right.
Brown bear Trombley.
Brown Bear Trombley. There you go. Let's take a quick break because I really got to pee.
Me too.
Oh boy. Okay.
The Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. Be sure to ask the bud tender about their deal of the day, because honestly, there's always something good on deck. And guys, listen, this is where the culture lives. At the Treehouse, their dedication to servicing consumers has been developed through a lifetime of involvement in the cannabis culture. They're committed to providing the highest quality products at whatever value your budget affords, while always maintaining the deep-rooted principles that have carried them this far. Their focus is on relationships over transactions, and you can always depend on them to treat you with the respect you deserve. Hit them up at thetreehouseak.com, and remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store.
Tailored Restoration, 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you at any time, day or night. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Make an appointment today at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Since 2008, Serrano's is Anchorage's own new generation of old cocina. Their menu showcases the passion and love of their rich heritage and unique family recipes that have been passed down through the generations. Serrano's goal is to embrace and display trad flavors using the best ingredients that are available. They focus on making everything from scratch daily. In-house menu includes handcrafted corn tortillas, salsas, carne asada, and chorizo. But don't take their word for it. Experience their tradition and sabor for yourself. Locations on Tudor and Northern Lights, both with new tequila bars. Check out their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
The Connoisseur Lounge, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. The Connoisseur Lounge is Palmer's first locally owned and operated cannabis retailer. Their beautiful store is located at 226 Evergreen Avenue. The Connoisseur Lounge has exclusive cannabis products such as Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and one of our favorites, Sugar Cookies. And if you're not into the flower, the Connoisseur can hook you up with edibles, vape supplies, and a ton of CBD options for all your health and inflammation needs. Check out their daily deals at theconnoisseurlounge.net, or even better, stop by the lounge today. Remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store.
Jack, why don't you walk us through your little vinegar technique there? I know we talked about it before.
Yeah, that's some like OCD shit
in the
with
podcast,
fish,
but this, people that are bringing in
the taste.
salmon and all the slime and all that, why don't you walk us through what your technique is there to get that slime off?
Like later in the week, I just had salmon tonight, so I grilled some up tonight, and I cut the bag open. And
Did you bring any in for everybody?
I didn't.
Ate it all, huh?
No, I cooked for Darcy and I, but and made her a little some for tomorrow for lunch. But regardless of that,
What's your address?
you can come over anytime.
Hey, man, I'll bring my little fish. You cook it up for me.
I'll be texting you the address.
All right.
I'm not gonna say it on the air here.
Yeah. It's an Upper Huffman.
Is there some double shovel cider involved in this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have some after this.
Endless supply.
We'll see if you ever get one open.
Yeah.
I just went empty on my second beer.
I got him right here.
You better crack it on the mic too, just right.
Bring it on.
All right, it's
Ready
coming.
for it.
Yeah. I'll take a Mosa.
Mosa?
Yeah, thank you.
I'll take that
A
one.
mimosa. What is it? Sunday morning? What are we?
Yeah, no, these
It's
are
a
delicious.
cider Mosa.
A cider mosa?
Yeah.
You sound like my mom.
Oh, man.
No, that sounds
Sunday
like a
morning.
dipshit breakfast.
Champagne and orange juice, man.
Yeah.
Jackie,
It's definitely
can I
a
get one?
sunny day catching fish drink.
Wow. I like that. I try not to crack a bottle of Jim Beam when I'm on the boat with clients. Try not to. There is a Jim Beam guide boat, by the way, on the river. Thank you. Yes.
Sponsored?
He's a sponsored Jim Beam guy, and he's a king fisherman. And I don't know if he runs dipnet charters, but I see him every summer. And like three years ago, man, I float up next to him, and I'm like, "Hey, how about a shot?" And sure enough, dude, he pulls out like a pack of one shot.
Oh, really?
And threw me a couple. I got
airplane
clients
style?
on board.
The airplane ones?
Well, yeah, exactly. The one
Yeah.
little, and he tossed me a couple of shots. He goes, "Okay, don't drink that until you're off the clock." I'm like, "No, it's okay." So, anyways,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I cut open that bag of fish, and I just I started recalling open up fish in the 90s and early 2000s before we really cared about this like whole meat quality, keeping things fresh as long as you can, and like smelling that bag or getting them in college. You know, I'd bring coolers of fish down to college and bust them out.
Not all sport caught, right? Not from dipnet fishery.
Those would have been. Well, this is me bringing fish down for me.
You're breaking up. You're going through a tunnel. What?
Yeah,
So make sure.
Yeah, but when I bring those fish down, you'd cut that bag open and it would smell fishy, like after 6 months. You know, and so we as a group had talked about things to do, and I think my brother invented it, and so somebody else is probably doing this too, but within our group, he was like, well, what happens if we pressure wash them? So we started pressure washing the fish. So we'd bring the whole cooler home.
Before you fillet them.
Yeah. Leave them out in the yard, lay them all out, and then pressure wash each side of them. And it was amazing because the fish are grippy after that. You get all the slime off. It's like grabbing a hooligan, you know?
Yeah.
And then we ended up with these like super clean fillets.
Wow.
So we'd fillet them there. They never touch any slime or whatever. And then you'd open that thing up in 6 to 8 months, you know, June 1st, like today. And, you open it up and it's clean. Like I want to be able to like lick the inside of the bag. I don't do this, but that's how clean I want the fish to be.
Wow.
And, but that's also like labor intensive. It's really good for your grass. So if you're like pressure washing, you like just these areas in your grass just like blow up,
flourish.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And the dogs kind of like it too. Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of labor intensive, and it's like usually like you're dip netting and you get the fish home. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and like mine's an electric. You know, like whatever 2.5 horsepower.
Right.
The neighbors like want to shoot you.
If I'm awake, everybody's gonna be awake.
So
it's summertime, man.
I think it was on the Department of Fish and Game website, you know, on one of their newsletters, but they had this like vinegar trick in there to get the slime off. And so I think we got home from dip netting like, 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, shit, I don't want to wake up the neighbors and they're going to be all pissed at me. Or at least one of the neighbors. The other neighbors, wouldn't be so mad. But so I poured a bottle of the vinegar in, and I let it sit for 10 minutes, and it had taken off all of the slime and most of the scales.
Right.
And so I did that trick again last year, and it's awesome.
So you're doing like white vinegar that you would get at Costco.
Well, so the first year was by chance. So I did use apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
And
you're just pouring it into the cooler that all the fish is in?
Yeah, and I poured it in the cooler because some of the ice is melted. That's like a pint.
Okay, not the gallon.
No, a pint. Costco. Yeah, like the pint jar.
You're mixing it in with...
Though it was like ice that had melted some. So there's some water in there, I think I ended up adding a little bit of water.
So it's already pink and slimy and... all the water that's
already
in there.
Clear, it wasn't too bad, but it was bloody and fishy, slimy. And I think I added a little bit of water, and then I poured that vinegar in, and it wasn't like 10 minutes, and I could feel the grippiness, Wow. And then I still washed it, just with the spray hose before I filleted it, but then you get these super clean fillets, and then like those fish I ate today were, caught last July. I write the date on them and stuff on the bag, and it was one of the style that I had cut it like in the middle and then folded the back together, but I opened it up right away. Well, cut the bag open, wasn't fishy, then folded it open and like touched the fillet. It was just clean, just like the meat.
Wow.
And it was still real. And the other thing is it seems to keep more of its red color because you just get more of the shit out of it.
Okay, so here's a question for you. Do you smoke any fish?
Tons.
Okay. I wonder if that process intensifies the smoking or if it pulls away from the, because I have in the wintertime, I have a snow removal business and Snowman out in Chugiak, Snowman LLC. And one of my clients,
it's a big figure 8.
What?
Never.
No, it's not. It would actually be 3 circles, by the way. They're 3 circles.
Oh, yeah, there is 3, huh?
Yeah. Figure 8 with another figure. Well. I need a calculator so I can understand why you would not. Okay,
we've been talking a lot of numbers out here.
Yeah,
guys.
Lots of numbers. But I have a client.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll get a Facebook message.
There you go.
You guys don't know what the fuck.
Are you guys drunk
You got
in
a
there?
fucking calculator or what?
Too many caribou calls this time, guys.
Are you guys gonna run that dipshit while he's drunk right now? It's not gonna happen.
There you go, guys.
But no, one of my clients, he smoked 25 fish. He cold smoked half of them, then he did a wet brine.
Yeah.
And he did it in an old ceramic refrigerator, which is ideal. That's the way my dad used to do it. But he long story, but the bottom line is he smokes a lot of fish.
Yeah.
And I've known my wife for 30 years. All the moose meat, caribou meat, Dall sheep meat, bear meat I've brought home, salmon, she's never really enjoyed. He smoked 25 fish for me this spring.
Yeah.
She's been cracking a bag every week.
Nice.
And I'm like,
What's the secret?
I've got to figure this out because he cold smoked half of it in strips, which is squaw candy, right?
Yep.
And then he has
what's the word?
squaw candy.
Oh, squaw candy.
You never heard of that?
Yeah, I have. I didn't understand
Yeah.
what you said.
It's a squaw without the squaw. Candy.
Without the candy.
Yeah, squaw candy.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But the funny thing was he smoked all his fish
Yeah.
and his both styles was just, it's the best I've ever had. And I didn't know this at the time, but he's actually, he's a retired federal meat inspector.
Wow.
And he's talked to so many people over the years about smoking fish and meat and making sausage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He does it at home, but he did that as a thank you for plowing his driveway this winter.
Yeah.
And I brought him 25 fish.
Yeah.
And dude,
Did he tell you?
fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know how you can't eat enough of it.
Yeah.
It's like eating candy.
Yeah.
So I can really appreciate if it's done right.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Oh.
The key that there's people that make better smoked salmon than me for sure.
No, come on.
Well, I don't want to say better. I think there's just different styles and techniques and flavors.
Right.
The thing that I found, because most of these guys will tell you what they're doing, and the things that seem to be, repetitive and common amongst their techniques is clean at the beginning,
Right.
But then that after your initial brine, give it a day to like dry out. That like 24 hours with like a fan on it in a damp area.
So that's what I'm wondering. If your
area.
process with the vinegar and all this, I wonder if that if that helps.
I don't know.
Otherwise, you got all that slime on the fish. You know what I mean?
That's all gone. Yep. So it probably does help.
That's usually just mixing in their brine.
Yeah.
Right.
Is the slime.
I'm gonna ask.
Then you have
John.
like an oil-based kind of layer on top of the meat, so then like some of this water-based stuff can't penetrate it.
Right.
The brine.
Man, we're on to some serious stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's like a next level of. I was just thinking about like your guys' process and for clients, 80 fish, 20 fish each. It's a lot of fish.
Dude, I'm mad when I get 12 on the upper.
Right?
I gotta clean all
and
those.
like I mean, I'm just thinking, to be honest. I mean, meat's touching skin, skin's touching meat in a bag.
Right.
I'd rather do 100 fish on a table that's sized right for me than 10 fish that aren't.
Oh yeah.
Or right on the side of the
in the
river
dirt.
on the
Yeah.
rocks. Like,
Or just
on your cooler with no towel or no
nothing.
or having to bend over just like 2 extra inches.
So I'm 6'2", and I weigh like $160.
Yeah, you look about that.
Yeah. I'd say you're
Do a
probably
marathon this
I'd say you're probably
Add about 100. Add another $120
I was
to
gonna say,
that.
you're at least a Triscuit away from 178.
Yeah, I'm a little bit smaller than my nephew. I'm a little bit smaller than my nephew Adam, but my son's a big boy. He's 6'2", and he's maybe pushing 3. But the whole time
We call those boys hosses.
house.
Big house.
Well, out in Chugiak, back when he was
daddy.
playing football, I was like, "Hey, country boy, country boy, come on over here."
Hey, Glenn, if you need a hoodie, we'd be ordering the 4XL just for the big
For
houses.
the hoss dogs.
He could probably use a 3X. I'm pushing the 2X myself, but
Well, just saying.
yeah,
In case.
I'll make sure that
like
I
it?
order.
We accommodate all hosses, shapes,
Yeah.
and
House.
sizes.
I'll do that. Is it pink? Because pink's my
We
color,
can
man.
go pink. I mean, we haven't done it yet.
Not yet.
It'll match my
Breast cancer
thong.
awareness. We're about to get on that.
You only wear the hoodie.
Oh, that's right. thong with the hood up.
Should we get like the longer one, like the girls one?
Yeah, that just goes right below the cheeks.
Oh shoot, man. Oh my gosh, I lost track. What was I saying? I was saying
Red
something.
salmon
I
flag.
don't know. I started seeing some weird.
Dang
images
it!
in
You
my
brought up
mind.
the hoodies, and I started thinking thongs again.
We were talking about the size of fillet table.
Yeah. Oh,
There it is.
So when I built the fillet table, when I designed the fillet table on the boat, it's a stainless steel table with a sink, and we literally went and we sat there and we gauged it with the tape measure. It was like what the height that we want it to be.
Yeah.
And it's perfect because he can actually rest on his arms on it.
Okay, got it.
Or lean up against it as opposed to bending. There's just no way. I mean, kill bosses at the end of 170 fish is one thing, but imagine your back hurting the whole time.
Oh, man. It'd be killing you.
And I got a seat there for him to sit on. You know, I got the captain's chair, which is only the captain's chair, and the only captain gets to sit in the chair. Unless I have a young kid that wants to sit on my lap, and I'll let him run the boat a little bit, you know. But the bottom line is, man, you got to have a table that is ergonomically correct for your body.
Yep. That's right.
And I feel just absolutely horrendous for people that catch 100+ fish and then go to shore in the mud with their coolers, and they're trying to fillet fish on the bow of the boat.
Over.
Oh my God!
You got to start somewhere, though.
You do. I mean, I get it. You got to start somewhere.
So that
I've
sink,
so been that guy.
Where's the water coming from?
So I don't know.
Your pump, right?
I've got a. So what I do is it's pretty cool design. Actually, I just got a PVC pipe that runs straight through the floor, and I've got a 6-inch PVC pipe that I will drop. So there's seagulls and birds flying around everywhere. Right? And I have a canopy on the boat now, but for the first 3 years I didn't have a canopy. The birds would follow me around. It was crazy. But what I started doing,
the meat behind you.
Yeah, well, not the meat, but the carcasses.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
You said meat.
Sorry.
That would imply I'm throwing meat away.
No meat wasted on the
Full disclosure.
There's remnants of meat on the carcass, not associated with the fillet.
I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't want people to think, son of a bitch said he's throwing meat overboard.
Yep. Sorry, my bad.
His name's Glen Allen.
That reminds me real quick. so when you boys start catching some reds here in the next couple of weeks, bring those carcasses back so we can throw them in shrimp pots.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's not forget about
I
that.
saved
Let's
them
not
for
forget
Eric,
about
too.
that. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Or chum bags.
When does shrimping end?
It started April 15th and it
September,
runs
I
to
think.
September 15th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's like exactly opposite of crabbing
Gotcha. Okay.
in the sound.
So this 6-inch PVC pipe, I've got literally drilled a hole in the floor of the boat. It's just plywood floor, right? Marine plywood. And I had to burp.
Sorry.
Good.
Yep.
I could have shared that with everybody.
It would have
but
been nice.
We got to sanitize.
We
it.
missed out, but
Nobody's
We
joining.
spray it down.
But I'll take the heads and the carcass and instead of just you should sanitize, man. COVID's a
We got a
bitch.
bilge pump.
COVID's a bitch.
We got a
It's gonna
PVC
get you.
down under the table. You didn't see it?
That's right. That's right.
Fucking water tank over
Big
the corner.
Hoss comes in and helps us.
That's right. Oh, that's hilarious. But so the idea is instead of just tossing carcasses overboard, I drop them down the hole, and they go right through the boat. The fish or the birds never see it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And
Smart.
I think there's a few of them out there that know the dip ship, and they will follow us around regardless if we're going to give them a morsel. But everything goes right through the boat.
Yeah.
And I will say that every now.
You get a jam.
Knock on wood, it doesn't happen every day, but every now and then if somebody's just riding my ass and fishing right behind me, they may pick up a carcass. It may happen. I've had a few people say, hey, I caught your carcass. Well, move your net in a different direction. Don't fish right behind my boat. You might not.
Oh, they're like, hey, there's the guide. He knows where the fish are.
Oh, yeah. I'll follow him
Get
around.
behind him. Get those
Yeah.
get that meat, the carcass meat all day
That's right.
long, man.
Yeah, you can have my
you want
intros,
some
man.
head soup and some tail, some tail sashimi. You can go right on ahead.
I got to be careful what I say because, anyways, but yeah, exactly. Thank you. That happens. But,
Man.
but the
What's
idea is
going
to
on
shoot
out
the
there?
carcasses right through the hole.
Yeah.
And then
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it works great. I mean, I don't have the fish, or the birds flying around, shitting on everybody on the boat and swooping down trying to take eggs off the table. And
So they get stuck in there?
no, because it's a 6-inch. It's a 6-inch hole.
It's big enough. There's no fish head big enough.
No. Well, I mean, if it was a king head or something like that, but we hide those under the floorboards.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We don't catch kings.
Yeah. I just eat them on the water.
My first year in operation in 2016, I think it was. That was the last year we could catch and keep kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had some pictures online with some Chinook on there. I was like, oh, he must have been the 15, 16 year.
There was like 3 days in a row where we caught 3 kings in an 8-hour day. Like, and
Man, that's awesome.
I'm probably going to go to hell because of that. Okay, because
Right.
I've been a huge
that's the
advocate
reason.
for
Yeah.
Well,
not
there's some Kenai River guides that would happily
force me to hell.
put the last pile of dirt as you're going to hell all right on you. But
or the first push.
I've dip netted and like had kings in the net and didn't get them in. And
Wow.
I'm going to just admit it
When
right
you
here,
could
right
legally
now,
keep 'em?
I had no remorse because I wanted that king in there so bad.
I think it was the
Was this when you could keep them?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you let them go?
Well, no, I just didn't. I had the cheap, shitty Three Bears net.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, blowing holes.
The Kirkland signature.
I was like, oh, it's a king.
Done.
I think
Pull it up in the air. It's like,
So
Yeah.
for like I told you guys, I'm not a big dip netter. What happens there? It's breaking the loop on the circle when you
no,
lose
it's
one.
shredding the net.
Oh, it's
knot,
straight
the
making a
knot,
hole,
like a hole.
a wider hole.
my problem with the
yeah.
Costco nets
Blowing the
is
holes
where the tubing comes out of.
They're not like Costco brand nets.
Yeah, but we're just gonna
It's a
say like the
vendor.
generic ones.
There it is.
Where the tubing
Acme-
has like
Acme
a
nets?
45-degree bend. It's a rounded curved radius. It's not supported. And so like in tubing versus like steel, like square or whatever,
Aluminum, but
or channel or aluminum channel, like this tubing, when you bend it, it gets fatigued like a paper
Gotcha.
clip, and it just like breaks off.
Okay, so then it
that's
just breaks
what
the
we-
break point.
Yeah, and
Like
so
that.
we would, within the season, we'd break those style.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way. The nets, though, we would always get extra nets from Mike's.
Sure.
And that was the thing that I wanted to talk to you about at some point. But I'll bring it up later.
okay.
Yeah.
We did zip ties.
Yeah, zip ties were good.
Zip ties work in a pinch. But the
Only.
bottom,
Pinch
the downside to the zip ties is they catch the other mesh.
Yeah.
And you're constantly
I mean,
reaching out and flipping the mesh off of the
Yeah.
zip tie.
That's why
you're fighting with
That's
it.
why you got to cut those little
You
big
gotta trim
excess
them
real
nice.
tight, real
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah. Well,
So-
what I'll try to do is when we're running back upriver, if there's a tear in the net, I've got a net mender.
Oh.
Repair
it's like
kit?
a pencil, not a pencil. What the heck's the name of that thing? It's a commercial fishing device that's used, and you put a bunch of line on it, and it's a needle. Thank you.
Yep.
But you needle it. You just cinch it with
Actually,
mesh.
Stitch it with mesh versus the zip
gotcha.
tie that has
Zip-
a little
zip-
hanger off there.
Yeah, zip tie is like. I mean, I know that. I know that it's done in certain circumstances when you like ripping nets constantly
Yeah.
because it's a quick fix.
Right.
But it just causes
Fish are
more
boiling and-
problems during the
Yeah.
course of a day.
You'd know that too, man. Like
Yeah.
for just like a subsistence local fisher,
Yeah.
I blow a net out one time every other year.
Yeah.
I can throw a zip tie in there, and like to this day, I still got like zip ties in my nets. I haven't yet to replace them.
Right.
Kind of gives them character. They've got battle
Are they
wounds.
pink? Pink zip ties?
They are. They're.
I don't know why I'm on a pink thing.
Those
but
are hard
really
to
on
find.
I think it's because
actually.
the end of your
on it.
microphone's got like a pink ring on it.
there it is.
That's what I'm
that's
throwing
lead
it out.
dog,
Yours is
lead
orange,
dog.
and what is my color?
Fluorescent.
Green.
Fluorescent.
Lime
that's,
green.
That's what
Alright.
color
Yeah.
my zip ties are.
Green.
Fluorescent green. Yeah.
So you can see them. That works.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So that
Frankensteined up.
that leads into like one of my questions. So
Okay.
Perfect.
do you care about the color of your net? The netting.
So okay, great question.
And
Actually,
mine just exploded.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that.
so I had a client on board who's actually another my son coaches football for Chugiak, and he's got Chugiak. Both kids, Alexis and my daughter, Alexis and my son Kodiak, both graduated from Chugiak. Huge Chugiak, Peters Creek family, right? So, with that being said, I had this guy on board who was one of the coaches and stuff, and he was really cool, had a great time, caught a lot of fish, but at the end of the day, he sent me an email. He's like, hey, I got some ideas. Since you're really open to, suggestions, and I even tell people at the end of the day, I'm like, if you got an idea, thought, concern,
Yeah.
I'm open to it, man. Tell me. I don't know it all.
Group thinks
I'm-
better.
I've only been around for 54 years. I'm trying to figure out life, and this dip net fishery is one of them.
Yeah.
So he's like, have you ever considered using a different color net or cleaning your net at the end of the day, getting all the grass and stuff off of it? Because you inevitably pick up crap
You do.
in the river. A lot.
Tons.
And,
Including flounders.
oh,
Oh man. And people want to keep the flounders probably.
All I have to say about that is
Careful.
I can't say what I
Why can't you say it?
They make incredible like skipping rocks,
Oh yeah.
but that wouldn't that be considered like harassing?
Well, you don't do it. You put it on your 6-inch hole and it goes home. So
You notice
Yeah.
How, you notice how I hooked
even
you
if I have to fold them in half, I stuff them in there. They're going back in the water.
you don't
either
want a
way.
seagull or eagle to grab it.
No, I don't want that
doing
to
the
happen.
right thing.
we call that a flounder patch.
Flounder patch.
So I wonder how many skips one could get.
I've
with a
got like
flounder.
6 skips.
Skip 6. Yeah.
Well,
pretty good.
that's hearsay. I saw another captain of a different boat
Yeah.
get 6 skips. I
Sure.
was able to count.
No name drops.
Just go with that, 'cause-
Name drops? Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, but the bottom line is, man, where the hell was I? We keep getting lost here.
Nah, it's my fault.
The color of the net.
Yeah, the
color
color of
of
the net. Thank you.
There it is.
I'm a simple-minded redneck from Chugiak.
I think
The
we
color
all
of the
love you
net.
for that.
Thank you, man.
Yes.
I'll take it all day long. I'm proud of it.
Soaking it in.
Yeah. The color of the net, some say black is the enemy. You don't want a black mesh because they'll see it coming.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
the way they'll
You
pick
see
it up.
the shadow or something in the water?
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, what? How
But
do
the
you see
way
it?
the way I look at it here
It's
is
black in the water, and they can see like little bugs that
Yeah.
they eat.
Sure.
So it's like that's a huge blob.
right.
They're
I'm
getting
just thinking,
close to
when-
it.
as
and
it comes from a distance. It's like an obstruction of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I guarantee you there's some commercial fishermen out there, old school commercial fishermen that have their set ways and what their beliefs are. I would never argue with them.
Sure.
But I will tell you, when you're force feeding a mesh net on a fish that's going upstream 4 miles an hour and you're going downstream 3 or 4 miles an hour, you're force feeding them a net at 8 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And what's the
Okay.
clarity on the water?
Not very good unless it's high tide.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So even then, though, come on.
It's too late. They've hit the net. They freak out.
In
You
high tide,
spin it. You're done.
you can see pretty good. They can see
but-
pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they can.
on
I
that
mean,
lower section where all the commercial boys are anchored up, man, that shit's gray all the way through and through.
Yeah, but on high tide, you get the amberness changes.
I fish along
Yeah, okay,
that
that's
bluff, and like half the time it has Kenai.
It like
color.
it shifts to a glacial looking river for a
Yes.
second. Yeah,
Up
Oh, you're
high,
right, yeah.
when the water's slow and calm, and I can actually. So my depth finder will pick up fish at high tide. Mm-hmm. It picks up nothing but shit and debris at low tide. Mm-hmm. But I mainly, honestly, I don't use my depth finder for catching fish. I use it for monitoring the depth of the river.
yeah.
And I tell people, okay, 3 feet of water, which is like 6 feet of water, because I actually got that 40-inch, lean on the side, the starboard side of, But the bottom line is, the color of the water, I think, makes a difference. But when you're force feeding them a
You're
net,
just smacking schools, man.
you're the whole idea
Timing
is,
them like, phew,
So it doesn't matter. You don't think?
I don't,
fuck no.
at
man.
that point,
No way.
for the dip net fishery, I don't think it matters as much.
As much. I think that the fish have time to react still. And so you're probably getting most of the fish. But if you operate one of the nets that has like a black or like the dark green, and then you operate another one that has the translucent or like the Kenai green that Mike has, those nets seem to, like, the way that the fish hit them are different. So it's like they're not already trying to escape right away. They're like nailing it.
They're gills deep.
And so it's like something where you're probably getting most of them, but I think some fish are turning out of it and some are trying to turn out of it, but it's too late.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you got a 5-foot bag or a 4-foot bag,
crazy.
that's a lot of space for
Yeah,
a fish
totally.
at 6 or 8 knots to get into and spin out of before you feel it in the net and you spin.
Yep.
What do you mean by that? The length between the net and the
So
the
you've
circle?
you've got the hoop, right?
Okay, the
Here's
hoop. That's what you're talking about. Length, 5
diameter.
feet, 6 feet.
No, the actual hoop. Yeah, the
50
actual
inch,
hoop.
60 inch.
Okay.
So that's 4 to 5 feet hoop.
Okay, you got the
Okay.
steel, the aluminum hoop, and then the bag. Well, you know what a fishing net looks like, right? The bag hangs. So imagine the bag hanging. Now it's dragging in the water up river as you're going down river. So that fish has 5 feet
Before it touches it.
Thank you.
Got
Yes.
it. Got
It might be the edge. It might be the end of the bag.
Got it.
And they're not floating like this in the water either. They're floating like this.
Sometimes they are. That's right.
As they get
Depending
back.
on the
Okay.
current.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pushing
Exactly.
the net. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if the water was more clear, it'd be cool to put a GoPro. down.
Oh, and just see how they actually get caught
I
up
bet
in
you
there.
could do it during high tide.
I've had a bunch of buddies, or not a bunch of buddies, but a bunch of clients that have wanted to bring GoPros. I'm like, strap it on.
Yeah,
let's try
let's
it.
do
I mean,
it.
we put them on the boat before. You know,
Right.
strap one on the, but you can't get any clarity.
Oh, you've actually tried?
We've tried a couple of times, and only at high tide.
Yeah. The other thing is, it wouldn't be shining a light down there, and that's probably scaring the fish away.
That might be illegal anyway. No, maybe it wouldn't be.
I don't.
Don't the
The
GoPro,
GoPro? No, it
in
doesn't
low
have a
light?
light.
In low light,
No.
it doesn't.
No, it has a low light feature that would be good if you actually put it in night mode.
I don't know. I don't have a
night
GoPro.
mode.
Dip it
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Night mode.
In night
Does it
mode,
have like dark water mode, or that is night mode?
Not yet. That's the 12 that's coming, or
Well,
the 16 or whatever the
and
fuck.
to
That's
add
the
to
one
that,
that's gonna
like-
look at the sheep this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Sheep.
The Twilight sheep.
All right, we'll leave that alone.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of want to transition into that.
Well, I wanted to add one more thing.
Sure.
When you're talking about like drift change and like sometimes you're going against the grain and then the fish are swimming in the net.
Yeah.
Now sometimes the tide has shifted.
Right.
Now the fish are swimming in like swirls.
It happens at
Right.
high tide,
Or
slack tide.
a school hits a group of nets. They bank off to the left and they go down. Now I always felt like fish, like if you're in a big group and you're going opposite, where like the fish aren't just like coming up into and swimming into the net. Like you can catch fish doing their circles.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
At high tide,
Yeah.
at slack tide.
Yes.
Okay.
Like where you're
Yeah.
catching fish at weird angles.
Right.
And to me, that's where those like really, really good nets come in handy because I think they have a better chance of snagging them in their gill plate while they might be swimming sideways
Right.
or
On the
angled or
outside of it.
not like in the net, but
Yeah.
they're like coming in sideways and then getting hung up in it.
I call it catching them on the backside of the net,
Yeah.
and that happens at high
I'm always
tide.
like when I'm
Fish is turning,
operating
it's
the
going
boat,
down
I'm
river.
trying to think of like what it looks like down there, and like the way you'll catch fish. Sometimes it's like that fucker swam sideways up and then into the net on
Right.
the other side of it.
Right.
The way when you pull it out, because
Yeah.
you try to do that flip.
Yeah.
Like turn the net inside out, and then it actually goes the other way, and you're like, what the hell?
Right.
It's like, oh, that fucker was caught up on the outside.
backside.
Yes.
And so it's like,
Yeah.
there's just crazy science I think that really goes into that.
That I've
I mean,
experienced
you
that a
can't
lot.
really like use any strategy to it, I don't think, but I think it's like just being in the right place, right time in the river. But
It's the time of the tide really when
Yeah.
when the tide swaps and there's a slack and you're like at high tide or extreme low tide before it turns, you have that problem. But
Yeah.
I always tell people, I mean, and you can sometimes tell they'll catch the fish will catch the mesh in its teeth,
Yeah.
or its
Yeah.
jaw. And
you'll
you're like,
barely
it's on
get it in the
backside of
boat.
net. Flip it over, kind of coach. So people, when they're standing in front of me fishing, I'm facing forward. A lot of times they're turned around facing towards the stern of the boat, and I'm facing the bow of the boat. And the fish are coming from the bow, but they're facing the stern. So what I tell them every time, I say, it doesn't matter where you're at on the side of the boat, whether you're on the starboard side or the other side,
Port- the port side.
the port side. Thank you. You turn the net towards the captain,
Right.
Every time, turn the net towards the back of the boat.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is, on my boat, anyways. Now it might be different on other boats,
because you
smaller
have T
boats.
handles, right?
I have T handles,
So you can flip them.
and sometimes, depending on the client, whether they're in a wheelchair or whether they don't have good stability, I'll either let them, like the two bow seats in the boat are fixed seats in the boat. On the starboard side and the port side, there's fixed seats. So I put people up there that they're not very nimble. They can't really get around very well. The middle seats and the back seats are optional standing. I can move the coolers around. People in the front, if it's a T-bar, if they're just sitting there forever and they're holding in other words, it's parallel to the boat, the T-bar itself, all they've got to do is turn
Rack
it
and quarter turn.
Yep. And they bag the fish. So
Yep.
so they've got whether depending on whatever hands are, what side of the boats are on. All they need to do is they basically turn it a quarter, and that swoops the hoop and it swoops the bag.
Yep.
And then they just yard it
Yep.
yard the pole into the boat.
That's right.
And then we reach in and grab the net out or grab the fish out of the net.
How many poles you lost? People just let that thing go.
Well, they tie them off.
We tie them off to the bow
They
of the
tie
boat.
them off. Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard to hold the dip net into the water.
Yeah.
Right, like it's going to
okay.
drag up.
How's that
so
even
so you
possible?
tie
Probably
it
just
up
smacks the side
against
of the
it,
boat.
and so
Where do you tie it up on?
Cleats.
On
No,
my
no, like where you're tying.
we
the
do
net?
it where the pole connects to the net. I don't know if that's where you do.
at the top of the hoop.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the top of the hoop, I tie it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually wrap it. I either have a D ring on the net, or I have a carabiner. Thank you. And so I can quick clip it off to there. And then I've got another on the side of the boat, on the bow of the dip ship. I've got one at the very bow, at the very tip of the bow. I have a cleat. It's not a cleat. It's a what the heck's the name of it? It's just it's a bolt it's an eye bolt, but it's a complete galvanized eye bolt.
Yeah.
I quick clip with the carabiner to that for the two nets that are in the
Shorter
very
front
front
nets.
and short nets.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then about 5 feet or 6 feet back on both sides, I have another one that I quick clip the middle and the rear.
So they all have their little sections.
Yeah.
there.
They do.
That's a good idea.
And I adjust the length, and I can constantly, depending on how people are fishing, whether they want to fish down. The two people in the back on the let's just say they're on the starboard side. The guy in the bow is always fishing on the top. Mm-hmm. The second net and the third net, they fish either the net in the middle fishes down, straight down, or the guy behind him fishes straight down. But they're constantly moving.
Mm-hmm.
So you're creating, basically, it could be as much as a 16-foot gauntlet next to the boat, the entire length of the boat.
Yeah.
On both sides, if
Gotcha.
you're running 6 nets.
Yeah.
Hence
So-
this picture right here is
And you
probably
can
the gauntlet
hold-
after a good swoop.
You can hold the net then with like your pinky finger.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no force.
Cody likes to say you should be able to do this fishery while drinking a beer without any problems.
Yep.
Yeah. Just put your hand on the bar and just like,
Drink a beer.
Okay.
hang out.
Okay.
Or
Cider.
double shovel cider.
There you go.
And I'm digging this cider mosa.
Yeah,
That's
that one's a good one to start with.
Kind of feels like Sunday.
It is. Glenn,
My mother might
Sunday
enjoy
fun
this.
day.
I want you to hit us with your best moose call.
Are you challenging me to my best moose
Full
call?
rando.
Full
You really
cow
want to
call.
hear it? Cow call?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Oh man, let's do it.
Yeah,
baby.
Sounder.
Like that.
I love it.
How's that?
I love it. That was
Fucking
What's
You may have
coming
to-
up the stairs?
Pretty volumed.
Oh.
That's loud.
Yeah.
Something's coming up the stairs.
Whoa! Is he legal? Shoot him! Shoot him! You want the bull grunt now?
Getting
Yeah,
quite
let's
excited.
hear the bull grunt.
Okay. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. I patented this, by the way.
Oh, you did.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Dipshit.com.
Don't get excited over there.
Jeez.
That was damn good, buddy.
I got a boner.
It
now.
works. Shit
Yeah.
moved, dude.
Yeah, I'd sit in front of you with a
I
bow
think I
any
hear.
day.
You hear that in the background?
One thing I've
Your
noticed
antlers
is
rattling.
the thumbs on the throat,
Jowls.
on the jowls.
Yeah.
With inside the gill plate?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
And the
do
pinch
that
and the
part.
pinch
You
nose.
did. You kind of did like a little.
I never like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard of guys using that technique with the pinching that there, but
yeah.
I use a
Change the
I use a
pitch.
call horn.
Yeah.
The
The fiberglass
often.
one.
Yeah, but not very often.
Only for long calls.
The
Yeah.
bull
Yeah.
magnet.
Sending
The
it
bull
out.
magnet.
Yeah.
Wayne
Bull
Kubat.
magnet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
In-
what it's
in the
called,
guide
bull
world,
magnet,
he's-
yeah.
Definitely
You know,
made
I
a name
never
for
was a
himself.
fan of the way it scrapes.
No, it's terrible.
Nah,
It
it's
sounds
too-
really hollowy and like
Yeah.
artificial.
It's fake.
What I have seen guys do is like wrap it in hockey tape and then they'll scrape it so it like takes that like gong.
Like the
when you're-
echoiness of it.
Yeah, like it scrape is actually I take that back. Hold on. It scrapes really good. The sound of like the edge of it on like wood material or branch like
If you're holding the
right,
whole
but
horn.
if you're like swinging it and like smacking
It's like
alders, it's like dong 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 dong.
it's echoey.
So, but I have found if you wrap it in hockey tape,
Yeah. That's
that
a
it,
good.
Oh,
it
yeah.
kind of
Pro-
knocks that
pro
down.
tip.
Yeah, pro
White or
tip.
black tape?
I like that. Like
Orange.
I like
Why is-
that. Like
Neon pink.
urban camo. Like duct
The
tape.
camo tape.
Why is it
Okay.
got to be
Well-
white or black?
Well,
Yeah,
so we play
I mean-
hockey and
Oh,
everyone
okay.
has
I
white or
got
black.
you.
There's a big thing with white or black tape.
Oh,
Is that
because
game
of the
that has
puck
like a
and
little
everything?
black thing that
Yeah.
you guys slap around?
Exactly.
It's like a puck or what do you guys call it?
I had you for a hockey player, man. You know.
Yeah,
I
all the
played a
Chugach boys.
little bit of hockey.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Us Chugach boys know how to.
Well, I went
throw
to
a
high
check.
school at West. I went to
Okay.
West,
Gotcha.
and I did try out. I played hockey, and I tried out for the team. I think I made third string goalie, and that was only because I could take up the.
There was
I
three.
could fit
There
in the
was,
fucking net, and there wasn't a whole lot of room around the net. But
there was 3 goalies back then.
we had a guy by the name of Jason Deneen. I don't know if that name
Yeah.
sounds familiar or not. Jason was legit. Jason, we went to church together, same church, and Jason was. I think he went on to play college hockey. I don't know, but he was legit. He was a year older in like class of '85.
One of those
Jason
West Side
Deneen.
boys.
Wes was good then.
Yeah. We had some really good. How the hell did we get onto hockey? We're talking about moose calls and they were dip netting. What?
Well, it was hockey
You guys
tape.
bounce all over the
It was
place.
hockey
man.
tape, and you asked about hockey pucks.
You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we like the rabbit hole here.
Well, and you know, to keep the transition alive.
Yeah.
I think Daniel was going to allude to maybe some of the like hunting, the guiding.
Oh.
Yeah,
You
'cause-
you came in here like, yeah, I just got back from a bear hunt. We're like, what? So we just start peppering you with questions. We're
Yeah.
looking at the map. You got us all excited.
I
So
get it.
what's the
Well,
deal
as a
with that,
long
man? I mean,
lifetime Alaskan, I mean,
Yeah,
everyone's dip netting and fly fishing and hunting.
Yeah.
So obviously you have a
And wearing
a
pink
life-
thongs. Don't forget about the
Of
pink
course,
thongs.
that's mandatory.
I mean,
mandatory.
I'm full commando, but
Whoa. Way
TMI?
too much.
TMI?
Way too much information.
Oh, so get in a little bit into the guiding,
Sure.
the guiding deal.
Yeah, well, I started as an assistant guide, obviously, in the mid '90s, and I loved to hunt. My dad was more of a fisherman, but he loved to hunt, and it all started with rabbits and squirrels and stuff like that. My brother, I was the last of 4 boys, but I got the great years of my old man. My dad was retired military, bomber pilot, World War II. You know,
Oh, right on.
and Alaska was his last command,
okay.
last move here.
Yep.
Retired up here in '69. I was born in '68, and anyways, long story short, I loved to hunt, and I remember being in college, and my dad started a fishing lodge on the Kenai, and my brother was involved. One of my brothers was involved in that, and I wanted to be involved in that whole business. I wasn't sure how I wanted
like
to
guiding
do it.
and just
Guiding,
like,
just in general,
Yeah.
and I remember having
Accommodating.
what's that?
accommodating.
Accommodating, yeah. And so my dad and I were out king fishing one time, and I don't know, it was like midnight. The best time because all the guides are off the river, most of the locals are off the river. It's just middle of July and it's quiet, and crisp air, and just fucking just the way the Kenai used to be.
Red's
years ago.
boiling, King's
Red's boiling,
King's
yeah.
just porpoising.
Yeah. Oh man, fishing the
remember
back
it.
channels, just drifting eggs, or just back bouncing for eggs. Anyways, long story short, man, I was reminiscing. Those were good days, man.
Really good days.
My very best friend Craig Rose, he was a guide for years and guided for Harry Gaines. Actually Reuben Hankey, who now owns Harry Gaines Kenai River Fishing. And anyways, we loved to fish together, but we still do. He's my best friend, and I sound like a chick. He's my BFF, man. He's my best friend forever.
man.
I got a bro.
We all got one.
We got a bro, man.
We all got one, right?
Those are called day ones.
Day ones, yeah. Anyways, long story short, my son was a year old, and I met some folks that wanted to do a moose hunt. This was like 94. And I was in Port Ellsworth. I flew to Port Ellsworth, and we flew out for a caribou hunt, or a moose hunt the first year, and then the next year we came back and did a caribou hunt. My brother and I did it together along with a friend of his, and I was hooked. I knew I wanted to hunt, but I knew there was no way my pocketbook could afford it.
Yeah.
Being a young, father and married man, and my dad said to me, he goes, "You need to figure out a way you could do it and make money at it, and at least get by on it, just to make it work, to suffice your craving." So I'm like, all right. So I got the blessing from him, and I met this gentleman by the name of John Davis, who is pretty proficient businessman down the peninsula, Kenai, Soldotna, where my dad lived at the time, where I grew up. And John, I met him in Port Ellsworth, transferring from one camp to another. And he's like, "Hey, if you're ever interested in becoming an assistant guide," he goes, I'll hire you. So one thing led to another, and his youngest son, Jeremy Davis, and I met together. This was, I want to say it was 94, 95. And Jeremy and I guided like 5 guys from the National Rifle Association on a caribou hunt together. My first year as an assistant guide. And back then you had to take a test. I think you do now, but there was a long time where you just had to be
rigorous now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even worse for the registered guide. But the assistant guide thing used to be you had to take a test, and then there was a time period where you didn't have to do a test. You just had to be signed off by a registered guide that said you had experience and blah,
sponsor.
blah, blah. Sponsor, thank you. Well, I fell into the test category. I tested out. I passed. I got the assistant guide license. I assistant guided for a number of years. I went to work for the railroad. I became a locomotive engineer for the railroad, for the Alaskan Railroad. I did that for 12 years. I left the Alaskan Railroad. It was a great job. It was a means to an end. I made some really good friends. It was a great experience. After I left the Alaskan Railroad, I became a contractor and started contracting for a company out of state, and I could pick and choose the dates I wanted to run trains, so that I could guide in the fall and in the spring.
Right.
Yep.
Perfect.
I'm like, I'm not giving up my license. I want to become a registered guide eventually, and I became a registered guide. And my buddy Jeremy, who lives in Port Ellsworth year round, who's business partners with a guy by the name of Steve Hackala, who's also like was a senior pilot for Pen Air until Pen Air went upside down. Now they're starting Aleutian Airlines. I don't know if you guys have heard of them or not. They're starting up pretty quick here.
Okay.
But so Steve and Jeremy been partners for a long, long time, and Jeremy and I have been good friends. And so it progressed from guiding for him to getting my registered guide license and guiding for myself, traveling down the lower 48, doing some sports shows. And Jeremy and I did several sports shows together back in the late 90s, early 2000s, just to promote the business. And it just progressed into a business where I'm by no means a large outfitter. I book for myself. I guide the clients that I book for myself. I don't have any assistant guides that work for me. If I have an overload of people, I will have my buddy Jeremy, who's also a registered guide and pilot. Some of his assistant guides will take over. Gotcha. But I try to limit myself to a couple moose hunters a year, 2 or 3 bear hunters in the spring or fall, and then a handful of caribou hunters on the peninsula. And so between 7 and 10 hunters a year I guide. And I'll tell you right now, man, I have created some lifelong friendships through guiding. And so this moving into the dip ship and starting the dip ship as a charter business was super easy for me because
you had clientele.
I didn't have clientele because all my clients were non-residents.
Oh, yeah, true.
But I had the interest and the ability to communicate with people. And for me, it wasn't just about slapping a net on a boat and catching fish. It was about providing a service, being ethical and legal about it, and trying to create an environment where people are going to want to come back year after year.
Right.
And I mean,
Repeat
I'm
customers.
super blessed, guys. I don't advertise anymore. I'm advertising right now, but I'm not really advertising.
Yeah.
I'm telling you about the dipship.
Yeah.
I haven't advertised at all this year, and I've been completely booked solid since January 1st.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. I started taking bookings for the dipship like right after Thanksgiving, and I'm completely booked solid right now. I've got a list of like 30 people waiting for anybody to pull out.
Well, it's cool because if you got a guy who wants to, get a half a dozen to a dozen plus fish a year, and doesn't want to own a boat,
right,
and run it and store it and maintenance it and insure it and like deal with the responsibility of running it in the river, which is pretty stressful.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
If you're not
he can
familiar
come
with the
book
river.
with you once a year and get his fish, or maybe not, but still enjoy a really great experience.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I've got
not every day.
I've got several clients that own their own boats, and they're like, "It's a fucking rat race. Why would I bring my boat down here?"
Oh my God, I would tenfold over and come on your boat.
Yeah.
Instead of deal with all that.
We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
We need to make that
dude,
happen.
I'd do it in a heartbeat.
I would love to do it.
I've dipped. I've dipped.
Like I said, I've never been
times,
netting on the boat.
I'm always running the boat.
Yeah.
So I fish sometimes, but
Launching boats,
let's
pulling
make
boats
that
out of
happen.
the water.
I mean, he's got some skill. He's already explained to us the whole vinegar thing.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, I want to
He's
learn
got
about
meat-
that.
meat
There's some
preservation
illusions
for
going on
sure.
there.
Yeah.
I've got you fooled. So are you
Wow.
launching your boat every day?
Well, the last
It's going
two
to
seasons,
be.
I wasn't.
Oh, because you had the spot with the
Now-
cannery.
Is there? So can you anchor somewhere out there
I
overnight?
could,
Yeah.
but the downside, the
Some
good thing
cots on the
about
deck or what?
what's that,
There's some cots on the deck.
I
or
wasn't
what?
mean staying on
dude?
it.
I've thought about all this pup tent, sleep out there. God, I'd look
You
like
got that
I'd look like-
canopy now?
Yeah, I do. I got the canopy. I would end up looking like what's that? What's that guy that was in the movie Castaway?
Oh yeah.
Tom Hanks.
Wilson. You got Wilson out there?
I might lose 150 pounds in the month of July, but living on the boat, right?
That'd be
might
an
not be a bad
ugly
thing.
looking buoy out there named Wilson.
Right? Yeah. Hey, what's up, Bowie?
Yeah, so you got to pull out now, huh?
I gotta pull out.
Damn.
Yeah.
Going back to your teenage years.
You know what though? It's a system, and I'll tell you what. My dad, this is no shit. Before my dad passed away like 4 years ago. My dad used to be like, the best entertainment in the month of July is taking a 6-pack and a lawn chair and going to the top of the boat launch.
Dude, I'm telling you,
watching.
man. I'm telling you.
It's awesome, man.
Oh, it's just mayhem.
Yeah.
It's a show.
It is. I mean, I've seen dudes just like plow their trailer into the mud and keep shoving and hope that their boat's going to hit water.
Yeah. I've gone to Centennial and down before just to get away from people and not deal with that shit.
Oh, that's a long way.
You mean Centennial and up?
Centennial
like-
down and then back
sure,
up.
sure.
You know?
Like the
shit.
Pillars and Eagle Rock, yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Pillars
a lot.
is a great spot too, but
Yeah.
it's gotten more and more popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a good setup there.
You know,
unless you had a boat that wasn't 50 legal, and
Oh,
you had
man.
to do the city launch, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like you, me,
yeah.
anybody else that
People have asked me,
too
I'm like,
much
I can't
HP.
do it. Yeah, way too much. I mean,
What about your favorite fish recipe?
Oh, really
like
simple.
Like just a fillet. You're just gonna have it.
Yeah, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
simple. Fillet, skin down, aluminum foil, salt and pepper, olive oil. Bake it or put it on the grill for 20 minutes, like 350.
Mm-hmm.
Smother it in mayonnaise and cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
Let it smoke for another 5 or 10 minutes. Serve it.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right.
I'm a mayonnaise freak. I love it.
I like that same one, except for I'll do the same exact thing, except I take the mayonnaise in a jar, and then I put a bunch of dill, like the cut up dill,
Yeah.
the relish in there, and then lemon pepper in there, and mix that up, and then the mayonnaise kind of, now it's flavored.
I like that. Do you throw a little extra vinegar on there at all, or
No,
you know what's
it's already had plenty
Don't
of
need
time.
to, do you?
Yeah.
I like it.
You know what's a really fun addition to that, Jack, which your
Ooh,
mix
next,
is like
next.
money, is a dollop or two of sriracha.
Oh, that would be
Ooh,
really
spicy.
good.
Yeah, you
just
just
like a
fucked
little
that up.
bit.
Peyton would
just
love
fucked
that.
that up.
Paxton would be like,
My
oh,
buddy
no.
Jeremy would be all over that. He loves
Yeah.
sriracha
Yeah.
and everything.
Well, it would be like, it just gives it that like pinkish tint. So
Special
it just,
sauce.
yeah, adds a little color to the mayo.
Well, that's great.
Interesting.
It's a little bit more scrumptious.
Sriracha. I don't.
Yeah, that's
Ooh,
awesome.
yeah,
Sriracha,
sriracha
it's garlicky.
mixed in
it's got some
mayonnaise,
spice.
mixed it with ketchup.
I said, and you guys noticed I said a dollop. I didn't say like.
No,
Like-
dollop. We know what that
I meant
is.
like a
Yeah,
little.
I
Just
got
give us
you.
some
little
color.
dollop. Just a
You know,
little
guys?
dollop.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn, thanks
I
for
might
coming
try it.
out, man, and telling us
Yeah.
about the dip ship. And if anyone's trying to get on there and look it up, the dipship.com.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's it. And on Dip Ship on Facebook.
You ain't getting on it this year, but you know
Oh,
what?
maybe you want just contact him if someone
There
pulls
might
out.
be some
you know.
cancellations, right?
Get on the wait list.
Yeah, really, honestly, I know you guys want to sign off, but I just want to throw this out there really quick,
No,
and this
man,
is
go for
important.
it.
You asked about trying to target special needs folks,
Yeah.
and I really want to do more about targeting those folks.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of your listeners are directly or even indirectly linked up or connected to businesses, corporations that are looking for an opportunity to promote their business by promoting a service like the Dip Ship, to provide a service for folks that are of that caliber, I'm all about corporate sponsorship, and not sponsorship, so to speak, that like them paying for my fuel.
But them paying for someone to come on,
That's
bring some
right.
of their
Yeah,
staff there.
Getting those folks on your boat.
That's right, because there's a lot of people out there like, well, some of the older veterans is like, really, I'd love to go, but I can't afford that. I'm like, I make concessions for people like that. I do.
Yeah.
I've done it
Yeah.
many times.
It's wonderful.
But it would be really nice for companies, whether it be, I mean, you can throw any business out there.
Well, I think what you're getting at is the logistics of getting folks grouped up, where you can get them on,
Yep.
some transportation, get them down.
Transportation is always a big deal.
Getting them, logistically
Yes.
delivered to your location where you can get them on the boat. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of legwork that goes into. I think that's what you're alluding to,
Yes.
right? Is like figuring out a way to get them, because there's a lot of arrangements and legwork that goes into planning.
It's definitely not
Getting-
just the 8 hours on
Getting
the
somebody
boat.
with a wheelchair or a
that's right.
disability to, down to where they got to get down on the, the greasy parking lot and down the
That's right.
launch and down on the dock. I mean, you got to have folks involved.
Folks to help them get there
Yeah.
and pick them up when they're done fishing.
And you'll be there on the dock ready to take them and
Yeah.
care for
Look
them.
for
and
the
get 'em
pink
recreation.
thong.
Yeah, think.
Yeah.
Right?
Just has a little flag.
Hey, yeah, no, I'm seriously, man. I would love to be able to target more of those folks. I really would.
Yeah, man.
That was the key to begin with, and that's like I
Yeah.
said, I don't discriminate whether you're able-bodied or not.
That's
But
beautiful.
by the same token, it's
Yeah,
like
man.
that's what I'd love to.
Well, otherwise,
great.
it's hard. It's hard for folks to get out there and do that activity because it is very physically demanding. It's strenuous. Even though
Yeah.
we talk about the lines and holding the net, but I mean, once the fish are on, and
Yeah.
then you got the conditions, you got the wind, you got the rain, you got the sun,
Oh man.
you've got the exhaustion of like watching the boats and all the hecticness, and your
Filleting the fish.
your heightened awareness of what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an exhausting, long day
Yeah.
for anybody,
Yeah.
let alone elderly or young, or and then it's
Yeah.
a lot for the people around them to watch them and make sure everybody's safe. It is a lot,
Right.
man.
There's a lot going on, and then
A lot.
and then you've got the energy around the dip net fishery in general.
Yeah.
People from Anchorage and Manusca
Oh, yeah.
Valley coming down to the peninsula,
Yeah.
and
It's chaos
it not being a very hospitable environment for the most
at
part.
times. Yeah.
At times, not always.
I mean,
but
there
at
are
times.
still a lot of good people in this state and people
Oh.
that have
yeah,
some code of ethics in their blood that
Absolutely.
are out there. But then there are the exceptional
yes,
ones that don't. But
Yeah.
in general, it is a very populated, chaotic. You get a lot of humans
Stressful.
together and people that don't know what they're actually doing.
right.
Things can escalate
Yeah.
into
Escalate.
situations. Escalate.
Escalades are right.
Like, yeah, man, just escalate on
I
the
was
Escalade.
imagining Escalade backing up the truck.
The Escalade is the dip ship on
Dude's
there.
just got the 15 pounding, dropping his boat in the water.
My dad's
Seen that before.
B-17 in World War II that he flew was called organized confusion,
Oh yeah.
and that
Oh,
I
that's
use
so
that term
fucking cool.
as the Kenai City Boat Launch
Yeah.
and the Kenai
That's
Fishery.
what it is.
Organized confusion.
confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Because
great.
it's all organized and then it gets in the water and there's like really nothing regulating anything.
I tell people all the time, we have to catch fish. We have to catch the salmon. We have to go. Pull your nets out. Let's go. We have to catch the salmon, you know, and everybody's thinking on the same terms. We have to catch the salmon.
All the way down here. And then a ranger comes through on a Kenai boat, and everybody's like, yep. Just not even going to have fun or anything.
Thank you, guys. I enjoyed tonight.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So just before we finish, you know, the boat launch sucks.
Yeah.
But the thing that I've always struggled with is peeing on the boat. Like with all the people I bring out like a lot of family and ladies and grandmas. What do you do about that?
So, gosh, this is a whole nother 10-minute conversation, but I'll break it down. For the guys, I have a tube that's attached. Is actually a tube attached to the downspout for the 6-inch PVC.
Yeah.
And a funnel. And
Is this the Hiwi?
The Hiwi.
The Hiwi.
You ever heard of the Shiwi?
There you go.
It's the Shiwi.
A guy can go back there and do his business without a lot of attention. I actually, the first 3 years, I had a pop-up privy, a 6 foot pole with a curtain. And I would tell the ladies, I said, you guys need to talk about this whenever you, and I have a lot of women on the boat, by the way.
Yeah.
Almost more than 50% of my clientele are women.
All your photos, man, there's always women on the boat.
Absolutely. So I tell people, I said, you guys coordinate, because I don't know how you women are. You guys coordinate the time to go. And I will slowly pull off the side of the river to a quieter spot. And I will pop up the privy with a curtain. I clip it off to the side rails. And I have a porta potty on board. And I would let them do their business. And at the end of the night, when it's all done fishing, I'd pump the porta potty. I did that for the first 3 years. The last 2 years, I built at the Cannery Lodge. I had a porta potty I built and a sump tank that I designed. That there at camp, I would just pull over top of the dock. Everybody go use the bathroom. For the guys, it would just pee in the downspout. Okay. That was a simple process. This year, I've got to go back to either the pop-up privy or pulling onto the city dock, which I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there was this, and this is a little embarrassing, but I'll tell you, I'm at the end. This is like 3 years ago, before I had the Cannery Lodge. It's at the end of the day. I drop the passengers off on the dock. All the fish go with them. My son goes with them. They're divvying up the fish, and they're gone. And my son goes and gets the truck and the trailer and gets in line to pull the boat out. I go out and I tie off to a buoy, and I'm cleaning the boat the best I can in salt, in mixed salt water, fresh water, right? Just scrubbing the stuff down, and I've got to pee. Well, I didn't have a canopy at the time, so I'm probably 300 or 400 yards.
I gotta pee right now.
Oh boy, I'm like 300 or 400 yards away from the end of the fishery.
Yeah,
but I'm halfway between the end of the fishery and the dock.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there.
Yeah,
and I whip it out, and I do my business, and I go back to cleaning the boat. About 30 minutes later, my son lines up the trailer to the boat launch, and he's like, "Dad, I'm ready for pull out." I said, "Okay." So I whip up and launch 3. He goes, "Hey, just so you know, state trooper's here. He wants to talk to you when you get out of the water." I'm like, okay, cool. So I pull the boat out of the water, hook it up, pull up to the top of the boat ranch. State trooper comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, how's it going? Trooper such and such, Alaskan State Trooper, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh, come on board. Climb on board." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "How's it going today?" I said, "Good." I said, and I'm thinking he wants to see licenses and all that information, so which is stuff. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm reaching for you. He goes, no. He goes, I just want you to be aware that I saw you urinate off your boat. I said, okay. I was totally thrown off.
Yeah.
I'm like, he goes, yeah. He goes, I was parked over here by the landing, and I could see you. I could see you urinate off your boat. And he leans into me, and he goes like this. He goes, "I saw the stream." I didn't know what to say. I usually have a really good comeback for stupid shit.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I didn't deny it because I did pee.
Right,
I'm like, okay. He goes, you can't be doing that off the boat. There's people around. There's kids around. I'm like, I was like 300 yards away from any boat and like 300 yards offshore.
Right.
And I didn't just whip it out in the middle. I said, I'm not I apologize.
Did he bust his binos out? I mean,
That's exactly what he was doing. He was out there watching people, but he zooms in on me.
oh, okay.
And, but when I didn't,
Because you're the guide boat, so he's like, oh,
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, any other Joe,
It was
come on, dude.
but he was like, he never asked me for my license, my captain's license. He didn't ask me how many fish we caught, how many clients I had, and nothing to do with the fishery. He just wanted to let me know that he saw me pee off the boat.
Caught you in my binos.
I'm like, okay. And then we get done. My son pulls away. The cop gets off the boat. And then he shakes my hand. I was like, okay.
That is an unwashed
Nice
hand,
to meet
buddy.
you. And he gets off the boat. I wasn't disrespectful. I'm like, Cody's like, what's up? I'm like, just go to camp, man. Just go. And we get done. I'm like, you're never going to believe this. He goes, are you kidding me? I'm like, I guess I'm not supposed to pee off my boat.
Yeah.
Without the privy up. Anyways, that was my pee story with the
That's a good one.
I love those guys. Listen, enforcement's huge. I love those guys being out there.
Yeah.
I
Well, they
really
need to
do.
be.
I support their endeavor, what word am I looking for? I support their endeavor to look for people that are doing stuff illegally and
Keeping people honest.
keeping people honest, man.
Because there's a lot of people just taking advantage. So
Yeah.
there has to be some presence.
There has to be, and
there
there's
to
not
try to-
enough.
No.
There's
They're
not
There's
enough.
no way they could ever regulate that
Right.
to the level that what it needs.
Yeah.
And at the same time, too, like, we don't need that many troopers down there. They need to be out protecting the roads and
Yeah.
doing their thing. And
But
you
that
know.
fishery, 21 days, dedicate 3 guys on the river
Sure.
all day long. Do
Yeah.
it, and you'll be amazed what you'll see.
Yeah.
But when they're not on the river, there's guys that are out there camouflaged and, running personal boats that are cops. You know that they are, but you don't hardly ever see the Park Service guys. Jacques, one of the Park Service guys, he'll come down, check things out. But, the Coast Guard, they'll look and see if you're wearing a life vest. If you're not wearing a life vest,
yeah, the coasties will come in with the skiffs. Yeah.
they're going to check you out. That's another thing,
That's
too.
right.
I mandatory.
I've never seen them.
I really pushed life vests. The other thing
I
I
see
mentioned,
that. That's really cool.
and I was fully supported by and all of my life vests for the first 4 years were donated by the Alaska Kids Don't Float program.
Oh, yeah.
that's
We
awesome.
had that on there. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
And then this past year, I wanted to get away from that big bulky vest, so I bought the nice inflatable where you hit the water, it's going to inflate on its own.
Yeah.
But I still promote. I've got multiple vests, and I will give them away to people on the boat. I tell people, I say, if you see somebody that doesn't have a life vest on, offer them a life vest. If anything, they're going to be so embarrassed that they don't have a life vest on, or their child doesn't have a life vest on, that they're going to take one from you.
Way ridiculous. Yeah.
Legally, 12 years and older, you have to have a life vest on. Or
12 years or younger.
12 years younger. Thank you. Sorry.
Yep.
So I tell people, if you see a kid, quick story, guy holding his infant in his lap, running a boat, tiller, family's in the boat, and they're dip netting. And he's holding onto his son or child, anyways, in his lap. Child doesn't have a life vest on, and neither did the captain.
Oh, no.
And I just simply pulled up to him while we're fishing. I'm like, hey, can I offer you an infant life vest? He goes, no, I got this. I'm like, what can you do?
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, good luck. Have a great day. And God forbid if you go upside down.
Keep
because
that baby alive. Yeah.
If something happens, even if you can't control it.
Yeah. It's not just you're running. It's
Yeah.
the boats that get capsized are not the boats that are doing the stupid stuff. It's the boats around them that are, or the massive wake, on a 14-foot John boat that has a 15-horse kicker.
4-footers that are coming from 3 different directions.
Yeah.
Yep.
The toilet bowl at the end of the drift
Yeah.
on a 2 and 3 and 4 foot, minus tide. Man,
Yep.
it's real.
Gets nautical.
Yeah.
Close us out, Brandon.
Close it out. Yeah, I did have a good question. Like, what's your projection, being that this is a business, that you think you have in terms of longevity? Like, how many years left do you feel like there's left for you as a guide, and then the fishery and the way it's managed? That could be kind of maybe a little too much of a question, but I'm just curious because I've pulled out of it because I kind of feel like I'm just going to give it a breather.
Yeah.
So, but you're a business and you're operating a business, you're offering a service, you're getting people out there that otherwise can't do it. So all your your purpose behind what you're doing is totally justified, and I support it.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I've decided I'm out.
Right.
But how do you feel about its future and the harvest and the numbers? And I mean, I don't see red numbers dropping in the Kenai.
Yeah.
Even though all these years in the last decade I've been doing it, the over harvest that I thought was taking place that would destroy numbers in the future, I've only seen numbers get stronger.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, I guess what I thought isn't actually has zero truth to it.
Right.
Because I'm still seeing 1 million plus reds a year coming in the river, and it's all good. So,
you know, the timeline, I've noticed the timeline's changing as far as the big push of fish.
Getting later
in the season. Yeah. I mean, this year I told clients, I said, my best bet if you're looking for the best date is the latest in the season, because those big push of fish have been coming in August, the first week or 10 days of August.
Yeah, 25th to the 10th or something like that.
I mean, it's crazy.
They learned.
Yeah, they have. And the fish are figuring it out. Longevity for my service, I love to dip net. I love to fish. I love to work with people. But when I stop getting excited about doing what I do and lose the interest in just the fishery alone, that's when I'm done. I mean,
it's a really great answer.
I don't know how else to answer that because I mean, if there were only 2 fish entering the river every summer, I'd still want to fish them. Mm-hmm. And most guides still want to fish them. I can tell you right now, nobody's getting rich off this. This is not, I'm making bank. I've got to do this to make life better for me. Okay. This is the amount of money that I actually profit off of doing this. You'd be surprised. It's not much.
It's more for the passion of it, right?
I love this. I grew up doing this fishery. I love to do it. From the day I came home from college, my dad said, jump in the boat. We're going fishing. I'm like, where are the fucking rods? Yeah. He goes, we're taking nets. I'm like, all right, Dad, let's do it, Dad. You know, and then we dropping king nets in without even tying them off to the boat, because that's what you did back then before they figured it out. You know, I told my son, I'm like, when I first started the business, I'm like, I'd like to start a business that I could pass on to my kids. And my son has the passion. Yeah. My daughter, not so much. She loves to come and fish a day or two, and that's about it. She's not crazy about handling fish. My snowplow and sanding business in Chugiak is far more profitable than dip netting. My hunting guide business, I mean, the insurance nowadays to just do business alone is so high, liability insurance. I mean, nobody's getting rich, but I'm making an honest living, and I'm providing the service. And once I feel like I can't provide a service and people can't come on the boat and enjoy themselves and have fun with me, then I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't know when that's going to be. It might be this year. It might be 10 years from now. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But I've been given the one finger salute many, many times.
Sure.
But then I've had a whole 5 fingers even more times.
Right.
And that, to me, after being trialed and errored for a couple of the first years, to now I've got guys that are like, hey, man, it's good to see you. I love what you do. You know, it's cool that you got veterans on the boat. It's cool that you got people in wheelchairs on the boat and prosthetics and people with all different types of, you know, setbacks. And to me, that's worth it. I mean, honest to God, it's not about the dollar. And I've heard that number. I've heard that comment before. Oh, anything for $1. You're gonna rape and pillage the fishery for $1. It's not about that. It never has been about that.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't know. It's good. It's a good question. And my only answer is when I'm not having fun.
I love your answer, man. I wanted an honest answer.
Yeah.
And I waited to the end because, you know, I wanted to get a feel for where you were at with it. Yeah. And I think we did. And I was just curious because everybody has their, like, Jack's been doing it since the 90s with his dad. And when it was like way before I ever even did it, my dad didn't take me to do it. I did it later.
Right.
You know, I caught this last 5 years before. I know it's been good the last couple of years, but 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was like amazing.
Oh yeah.
You get 100,000 fish a day.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and, like,
with the numbers, what's happening with the numbers, and then going up like Brandon said. I mean, last year was a record year. The year before that was really good. People are eating better, which is good. They're all fucking residents, like no big deal.
Or they
and
should
then
be.
for
Anyways, but yes.
So Brandon and I, we don't dip net anymore. My dad still does, and I still take care of some of the fish. But, it freed up like the upper river for us. Like we all are sports fishermen. We all have young kids, and the river is not as crowded for sports fishermen as it was before dip netting open. And that's awesome.
Plus.
So it's like, I don't see where it's not a win-win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's
It's a different technique. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
spread it out.
It's just, it's a different technique on
Different
catching
strategy.
fish, you know,
Bringing home the bacon.
Yep.
bringing home the sockeye.
The sockeye.
I tell people on the bus, sockeye.
Yeah.
So we can find you at thedipship.com. Do you have an Instagram?
I do not have an Instagram.
We'll help you with that.
Dude.
Do you have Facebook?
I have Facebook, the
Okay.
dipship or the dipship Facebook page.
All right, sweet.
You gotta get on the gram, dude.
I know I do.
I'm not even about that, but like
You got it for advertising.
You do.
Yeah.
Having posts every day, like your son can't do it for you.
So-
He's got to be on the gram.
He's on.
How old is he? Like in his early
28.
30s? Yeah.
Oh,
like,
perfect.
come on, he's on Instagram. I'm sure of it.
He is, but I gotta
or
be
his wife or girlfriend is like, come on.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do this thing.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. The advertising, I haven't advertised
it's
at
not
all
about,
this year.
It's not about the advertising.
Right.
It's about the exposure.
The exposure, right?
And the people, your neighbors, your
Yeah.
brethren, seeing what you're doing.
You're right.
Supporting it and loving it
Yeah.
and promoting it. Like that's what it's more about.
I gotta
Right?
get.
You're
more
good. You're
detail
gonna get
about
your
that.
clients. So don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
It's,
We'll give you some pointers.
it's the stuff
I'll
that
take
like
some.
we want to see what you're doing. We want to
Yeah.
see the smiles of that 3-year-old kid or that lady in a wheelchair with her, two soccer in
or
her
the
hands.
wounded
like,
warrior
every
guys,
day.
or-
The wounded warrior guy. Like we want to see that every day during the season
Yeah.
to enjoy what people are doing and
And then all the haters that are out there, there's one dude on the boat that's like, actually, I just saw a post that, he took the wounded warriors out, or, they're all residents out there. And so then they correct everyone in there that's calling you the things that we didn't even
Yeah.
think.
And
they'd
you don't
call
have to say anything. You just show people what you're doing, and you can kind of shut them up.
That's a good point.
There's different angles to use the social media dynamic. It's like not just like promoting your business to make money.
I need to learn about that because I'll be honest with you. The first 3 years, every day I would post, "Hey, had such and such on board."
You probably have a lot of people around you that you could like make 3 phone calls right now that would help you get that
Probably
going like in
so.
2 seconds. But
One of
we
the
also
best-
have a multimedia company, so if
Oh,
holla at your boys.
all right.
We would make it
I
out
will.
there.
I will take
Daniel
advantage of it.
Buitrago is pretty damn good at the shit. So
I will.
get
I
you
will
going.
take you up on that.
Get
I
you-
mean, I've
get you
kind
going
of
in the
let
right
it go to the
direction.
side. I will take you up on that.
Just saying, man.
One of the
Just
best
saying.
pictures I have is a 6-year-old that kid Paxton. He got in
Sitting
the
in the
cooler.
cooler. I just had it
holding
up,
all the
dude.
fish.
Yeah, that's
I was
great.
looking at the
That's
picture like it
awesome.
looks like the same kid that was swimming around on the deck in the slime.
It was the
like,
same kid.
That's cool, man.
I said Paxton.
He was full send.
Oh,
man.
he freaking loved it. He didn't catch any fish that day. His mom caught all the fish, and his sister caught the fish. But he wrangled. Like I said,
He'll never
"Paxton,
forget it."
Will you get in the cooler with the fish? He goes, "Hell yeah!" He jumped in the fish. I
even
don't know.
hesitate.
He might not have said "hell yeah," but he did.
yeah.
He got in the He got in the cooler and
He
held the
looked
fish,
happy,
man.
man.
His
That's
mom was
great.
all for it. So
That's great. Well, Alaska, thank you for listening, and give some of our sponsors a little shout out here. Go by Barney's and pick yourself up a hoodie or a shirt or a hat. We got all the merchandise over there. The Bait Shack and Ship Creek got the Derby starting on June 10th.
Oh, they're already catching
catching them.
kings.
They're
man.
catching the kings down there. Obviously,
yeah.
if you're into
Every
that,
day.
go down there and get that. Double Shovel Cidery in Kodiak, support that. That's opening here real quick. Get
good
after
stuff.
that.
Cider Mosa.
Cider
Mosa.
Mosa.
That's
Enjoy
right.
it.
Visit our Treehouse, AKO Farms, Connoisseur Lounge. If you're looking for an upgrade on the truck, Total Truck or Overlander. Taylor Restoration if you got a problem. Hopefully not. Anchortown Dogs is buzzing downtown. So Anchorage, thank you. Alaska, thank you for listening. Glenn, thank you for your all the info on
Showed
the
up,
DipNet
Glenn.
and all
Thank
that.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thedipship.com.
Good time.
And stay wild, Alaska. Thank you.
You'll remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Arbor Digital, the forefront of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and wealth management, providing a low-cost, research-based investment strategy for Alaskans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Visit acminc.com today to put your money to work.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
The Connoisseur Lounge, Alaska's premier locally owned and operated cannabis retailer, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. Their cultivated products include Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and much more. Find them at theconnoisseurlounge.net.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Anchortown Dogs, located on 4th Avenue across from the old 4th Avenue Theater. Look for the blue and gold umbrella. From reindeer dogs to bomb euros, they've got you covered. Anchortown Dogs, your local gourmet hot dog and sausage cart.
Crude Magazine, Alaska-based media outlet using the last frontier as a springboard to discover larger truths about the cultures of our great state. Read more at crudemag.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include snow and ice management, weekly lawn care, and more. Get your free estimate today at lawnproak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
Lady with a Plan, your own Alaska event planner. From scouting the perfect location to planning the tiniest details, specializing in event management and production for intimate social gatherings. Find Lady with a Plan on Instagram.
Should you not claim to be at least his equal in prowess and act upon the claim? I say try. If we never try, we shall never succeed. This proposition is a simple truth, and it's too important to be lost sight of for a moment. If we cannot beat the enemy where he now is, we never can. It is all easy if our troops march as well as the enemy, and it is unmanly to say they cannot do it.